And a very good morning, everyone. Here from Ten Sleep Bowl at the bottom of Corbet's Couloir, Jackson Hole Mountain Resort. The magic of the Teton Range has drawn many for centuries. From Native American tribes such as the Shoshone, Nez Perce, and Blackfoot, whose ancestral homeland sets the stage for today's gathering, to the passionate mountain enthusiasts who annually flock to these slopes. We have 23 athletes who are drawn here today to push the progression and see what's possible in the couloir. Welcome to Kings and Queens of Corbet's. Well, DC here, joined by Jeff Moran, CMO of the Jackson Hole Ski and Snowboard Club and professional announcer. And we're hyped to be out here. It's an honor to be out here with you again. And crowd's starting to flock and fill in here at the bottom of Ten Sleep Bowl on this beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. Sun shining, the crowd's showing up, and the vibe is high. The winds are coming in just the right way to set up the couloir perfectly for our riders today. And I know all of the riders are super hyped about what's about to go down.
Yeah, and I'm super hyped as well. Glad we got a little bit of a refresh. Mother Nature helping out as well. But socializing, one of my favorite pastimes. I know you like to get social as well, so we encourage you all at home to get social with us. Make sure you follow Red Bull Snow. Make sure you follow Jackson Hole. And also, if you're taking photos and getting social, throw in that hashtag Kings and Queens of Corbet's.
So we have 23 riders and skiers here today, 8 men skiers, 8 men snowboarders, 3 women skiers, and 4 women snowboarders. Really looking forward to what everybody's going to put down. A lot of returning veterans, a lot of new faces. We've got 2 former kings, 1 former queen, so looking forward to a really good day.
Absolutely, and you know, we've spent a lot of time here in the past few years witnessing some insane riding go down, and the evolution of what we've seen go down at this couloir has been just astounding. So for more, let's take a look at the evolution of Kings and Queens of Corbet's.
It's been so fun to come out here 4 years in a row now.
People are doing things every year that have never been done into Corbet's.
I'm always like jaw dropped at what goes down up there. Well, every year people seem to step it up.
This event is the most intimidating event I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, so many amazing memories from the years. We've seen so much go down, and hard to believe now we're in our 5th year here at the Kings and Queens of Corbet's.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. We've had our first female backflip from Veronica Paulson, first double backflip. Jake Hopfinger's here today. We had Sam Cooch with the double cork. Of course, Trevor Kennison with the sit ski air. And then my personal favorite highlight, Hans Mindnich's backside 3 wall ride. 2 years ago, we talked about wall ride as if it could never be done, and then Hans pulled it. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens today.
Yeah, can't wait to see what happens today. And to help us keep a finger on the pulse and the vibe at the top, we got to welcome our third member of the team, Jackson Hole Mountain Resort athlete, a local shredder and aficionado of all things Corbets, a man who is very in tune with the mountains and the elements out here, Andrew Whiteford at the top of the couloir. Andrew, how's it going up there?
DC, thank you so much. I'm coming to you from about 600 feet higher up on the mountain, just a snowball throw from the top of the tram. The energy is contagious right now. That nervous energy is starting to produce actual construction at the top, and the weather is fantastic. We've got clear skies, a brisk 3 degrees Fahrenheit, and light to moderate winds out of the north-northwest, 15 to 25 miles per hour, that range. So I can see what's going on well up here. Jeff, what are you thinking about down low on the course?
You know, Andrew, the course is looking really good. We've had a lot of snow blow in, and I'll be honest, like, one of my favorites today is hometown hero Corey Jackson. There's been a lot of buzz about Corey. He's kind of a sleeper. I mean, he's got a big following, but man, like, Carl and Parkin, like 2 of our former kings, Corey was on their radar as one of the top contenders, and I gotta say, I'm excited to see what Corey has for us.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, like Carl Fosfet, the only 2-time reigning king here of Corbets, told me, he was like, dude, hype up Corey Jackson. That kid is awesome. And they've had a blast skiing around with him this week, not only here at Jackson, he showed him around down in town at Snow King as well. But yeah, they were like, watch out for Corey Jackson, see what he's got out here. And hyped to have Corey Jackson out here in the mix. Met him a few years ago when he was coaching on the Olympic circuit for professional competitive half pipe skiing. And yeah, hyped to have him out here as a new addition.
Absolutely.
A very exciting addition.
Another new face this year is Cheryl Moss. She was just here recently for Natural Selection Tour. Now she's back for Kings and Queens of Corbett. So with her slopestyle background and big air background, I think those skills are really going to shine today.
Well, Moran, another thing I love about this event that's very unique is there's no judging panel. There's not like a panel of guys and gals out here that are, you know, taking note of these runs and kind of giving you the order of how they think the cards should fall. This is all peer-led judging. The athletes are going to have a viewing party, and I mean, that's epic. They're going to pick who they want to be up on top. It's an athlete-judge contest.
Yeah, it's so cool. The whole design behind the contest from Jess McMillan here at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort was to make this a rider-owned event, and that's just one of the components that really, really puts the control of the event in the rider's hands.
And taking a look here of how we determine the start order, another really cool aspect to this event and very unique. Basically a lottery out here.
It's a total lottery. We had the seating party the other night. They pulled out the bingo ping pong ball roller, just like if you were at the Elks Club, and it's a total luck of the draw to see what spot you end up for the seed. And there's hometown hero Cam Fitzpatrick drawing the #1 ping pong ball. Last year in 2021, he ended up in the last spot of the draw. Today he's dropping first, so we're excited to see what Cam does as he opens up Corbett's couloir for us today.
Well, something else that's really special about this event and new this year, as we said, it's a peer judge contest, but we're encouraging you all to get involved as well. And new this year, we have the People's Choice Award. So after the first run, you're going to see a QR code pop up on the screen. Go ahead and scan that QR code and make your voice heard and cast your vote for who you think the king and the queen of Corbett should be out here this year. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the start order as we're getting ready to go. 23 amazing athletes out here this year, Jeff.
Yeah, here we go in our top 8. We've got Madison Blackley, our defending queen of Corbett, the first snowboard queen. Cam Fitzpatrick, we've been talking about him, and of course Corey Jackson. Both of those guys born and raised in Jackson Hole, so they are no stranger to Corbett's couloir. 9 through 16, we've got quite a few recognizable names. Parkin Costain, he's one of our defending or previous kings of Corbett. Also Blaine Gallivan, another hometown kid, born and raised. And Carl Fosfet, our defending champion from last year's Kings and Queen of Corbett, our defending king. We'll see what he has to bring for us.
Well, again, just moments from getting underway and just experiencing a little technical difficulties. We're in some extreme elements out here. Stand by.
You know, this type of competition is really unheard of in terms of skiing and snowboarding. Number one, having both skiers and snowboarders together out here is a fantastic way to go about. That's the natural way that most of us go out and ride. You're with your friends, try to one-up each other. And so that naturally takes form here in an arena for radness with jumps, natural features. You know, those that have a lot of experience on Corbett, such as Cam, the other locals, Blaine, Corey, all of them, just have time knowing this place in different conditions, different snow. That's what we're all working with today. Up here at top, we see that the athletes are working at creating their own kind of run-in, their own interpretation of what the mountain's providing. And given the fact that conditions are a little bit different from some of our really deep, really soft years of previous, right here we see that the athletes have actually carved out with the chainsaw a lip that allows them to go a little bit smaller. Generally, we're looking for amplitude, but maybe we're thinking about how do we keep it mellow up top to have a nice full run. You know, as the wind keeps blowing snow in, it might refresh the west wall a little bit, the skier's left. And we are psyched to see what the athletes put together on it right now. Up here, up top, all the athletes are right along the lip. Everybody's kind of feeling out exactly what they want to bite off on first run. You've always got second run to adapt, to change, to build upon your first run, or at the very least clean it up. And as DC and Jeff have mentioned, you know, it's athlete judged. So in terms of the pressure of scores, that's something that the athletes don't have to focus on right now. It's, you know, as things are looking good up here, I'm psyched for all the event to go down. And Jeff and DC, why don't I send it back down to you?
All right, well, thank you, Andrew Whiteford. And our first athlete to drop once again, we've got local rider Cam Fitzpatrick, who this is his 5th year competing here in Kings and Queens of Corbett.
Yeah.
And for more from Cam on what it's like being here for 5 years in a row, let's hear words from the man himself.
This is my 5th year, I think. So I've done it every year, and every year is a different beast. It's always spicy. The conditions change all the time, but I feel like the vibes never change. And just, you know, it's an honor to be a part of this roster. So I think that's the coolest part of it. I think it's going to be cool. I think people have to be creative this year. There's a lot of jumps. The Parkin Pipe crew crushed it this year with the features. The last feature, the jump, is really good this year. I think throughout the last 5 years, they've critiqued it every year, and I think that they finally nailed it. And, you know, they crushed it.
Boom check.
Stay with you.
As we've got Cam ready to drop in, local boy raised by a ski patroller, I get to see the Fitzpatricks out on my dog walks as They're in my hood. But right now, Cam's just prepping mentally in these final seconds before his drop to kick things off for 2022 Kings and Queens of Corbett. As an athlete, this is a point where you have to really clear everything else out from your mind. You start hearing cheers from your fellow athletes. Everybody is so pumped to get this underway. Visibility is looking stellar. And that's a huge confidence boost for any athlete before you're about to do something that is naturally rather gnarly. Here things ramping up. Cam's warming up his legs. In previous years, we've seen Cameron get really creative on his entrance, including kind of front flip handstand as homage to Friends Lost. But few people would have the confidence to be able to enter Corbett's in a setting like this, like Cam Fitzpatrick. Cam dropping in, off the lip. Yeah, Cam.
Well, we've got our first athlete in the coulee, and Cam Fitzpatrick, the local rider, having his go at it here, Moran.
Yeah, everybody's been waiting to see what was going to happen. Cam kind of taking a little bit of an air in, getting some good snow, but unfortunately tomahawking just a little bit. There are 5 man-made features in the couloir, plus the crowd pleaser kicker right here at the bottom. Cam with a cab 5 off the crowd pleaser. It's going to be an interesting landing. It's going to go from hard park landing right into a little bit of pow. All right, give it up for Cam Fitzpatrick, opening up our 2022 Kings and Queens of Corbett. Looks like he's doing okay. I think he did get a little bit beat up in there from that first landing, but I think he's doing all right. Like I said, there are 5 handmade features up in the course. All right, Cam kind of coming off the side of the nose there, trying to catch the ribbon of snow that has blown in at the base of the west wall with his back flip, grab melon, and then going cab 5 off of the crowd pleaser here. We got a really big crowd now forming here at the base of 10 Sleep Bowl. Cam with the snow stash. Again, Cam Fitzpatrick just getting married this past summer. Shout out to Renee. How you doing out there, Renee? She is so supportive of Cam and his snowboard career. They just recently started their own business called Bar Sip Bar. They do custom craft cocktails. It was really fun to hang out with all the homies and get to see the family and everyone at Cam's wedding this past summer. But
All right, well, our next athlete, second athlete ready to drop in, Sander Hadley, who is a veteran here of Kings and Queens of Corbett. Unfortunately, we did not see Sander last year. And for words from Sander on why he missed out last year, check this out.
So if this is year 5 of Corbett's, I've done it 3 years. I missed last year. My mother was in a big car accident the week of this, and so I had to pull out. I'm excited to be back this year. She's healthy, I'm healthy, so we're in a good place, and yeah, regardless of how conditions are, here to make the best of it. Personally, I've got nothing to prove at this point to myself, so I'm totally confident in playing my own game, and I'd say my favorites, like always, are Carl Fosfet, Hans Mindnich. Yeah, those guys are legendary.
Sander Hadley back, first year of Corbett's in 2018. He walked away with a second place finish in 2019, a fifth place finish. Got the cover of Jackson Hole Skier magazine one year as well. Very accomplished athlete coming out of Pocatello, Idaho, home mountain of Pebble Creek ski area. So shout out to everybody from Idaho tuning in.
Sander bringing a very chill vibe to the event. In his interview the other night, he was talking about how he's really got nothing to prove. He's been here in multiple years. He's done well, and he said he's just really just here skiing for himself, here to have fun. And here he comes, Sander coming into Corbett. Let's see which line he takes. Similar line to Cam Fitzpatrick, airing into Corbett, staying on his feet. All right, there's definitely some variable snow conditions in there, but we can see that there has been some new snow that blew in. The winds have been in our favor the last couple days. Sandler airing off one of those handmade takeoffs. Those takeoffs are up to 12 or 15 feet tall. And here comes Sander Hadley into the crowd pleaser here at the bottom. Staying on his feet all the way down.
Well, again, good to have Sander back here again this year.
Yeah, as we heard, he missed last year because his mom was unfortunately in a car accident, but it sounds like she's recovered and doing well, so it's great to have him back there. Here comes Sandler. Is that a Screaming Seaman?
That's what I was saying,
Yeah.
Screaming Seaman into the coulee.
We'll have to check the record books. That might be a first.
Gets the tail grab on that left three here on the crowd pleaser at the bottom. And welcome back to Kings and Queens of Corbett, Sander.
There's Sandler down there with Jess McMillan, the events and partnerships senior manager here at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort, and the founder of Kings and Queens of Corbett. She's spent tons of years on the Freeride World Tour, multi-time Freeride World Tour champion, and she really wanted to bring the vibe that she had on the Freeride World Tour to an event here, and that's how they created, or that was the catalyst to create this signature event here at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort. So huge thanks to Jess, because that's why we all get to hang out today, DC. That's why you and I spend so much time together, and all these athletes get to come and shred Jackson Hole for a week, and we get to hang out here with this huge, beautiful crowd of people in the base of 10 Sleet Bowl. So thanks to Jess McMillan for putting this all together, and of course everybody else here at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort. It truly does take a village, a huge team of people to put on this event.
Well, taking a look at the top, trying to see what the athletes are up to up there. Is they're getting some feedback from our first couple athletes, Cam and Sander, on what to expect with conditions. No one's been in this couloir since it's gotten a little bit of snow recently this week, so good to see the athletes that have dropped already, Sander and Cam, giving some feedback via Jess McMillan's radio to the top. And we're going to send it up to Andrew Whiteford to kind of check in with the vibe up there and just what is happening. What's the scene like up there, Andrew?
Thank you, DC. You know, I think getting a couple athletes to drop in and see what the snow is doing is a huge lift off of everybody else's shoulders. You know, Sander is definitely a skier's skier. He's out there having a good time on the small hills and the big ones, and he knows how to really change that inbound skiing ready for the cameras on the biggest hills, skiing with MSP and such. Coming up soon, we've got Hans Mindnich coming out of Stowe, but a nationally known rider, and his brother's been competing on the Freeride World Tour. You know, even though a lot of us move west for the POW, those skills that you establish when you're skiing on the East Coast, avoiding trees, rocks, ice, that can prep you really well for a career in skiing and snowboarding. The Mindnich family has totally done that. Had a memorable air last year as he worked through three different years of competition here, dropping in, doing really creative tricks. We wrapped up with him last year having that incredible wall ride, so we're psyched to see what he does this year.
All
Very much, Andrew. And yeah, our next athlete getting ready to drop, Hans Mindnich, who again last year, I mean, that was one of my favorite tricks of the year that I saw, that back three wall ride. Said it wasn't really intentional. He wanted to scrape the rock, not necessarily ride the wall like he did, but man, the composure was insane. And that was definitely one of the most progressive things I've seen here at this event. But let's hear from Hans and his thoughts on the evolution here of Kings and Queens of Corbet's.
I was lucky enough to be here the first year King and Queens, and was lucky enough to draw the first drop, and been trying to get back here. It's definitely leveled up itself every year. You know, the first year, as we've said, there wasn't any jumps or anything, and it's really come leaps and bounds. And we have a good crew of riders out there who know how to ride good hard pack. We know how to sharpen our edges, put the fastest wax we can on there, and try to set some gold records going down, you know?
Respect, my brother.
All right, and there is Hans in the start gate again. All of our skiers and riders have a good window. They don't have to drop at a particular time. They can kind of get their composure and wait until they're ready to get in there. That's a lot to digest when you're standing in that Red Bull arch right there and getting ready to drop into Kings and Queens of Corbet's. Even if you've been in Corbet's before, even if you've competed in Kings and Queens of Corbet's before, I don't think that makes it that much easier. Like, every year's different. The course, the couloir, the conditions are different every year. And so, yeah, that's a lot to sit with and digest when you're standing up there in that arch. What do you think's going through their head, DC?
Well, I mean, talking to Hans yesterday and having dinner with him last night, he said he just wasn't really going to think too much about it and just roll out there when it's game time. He was excited to get home last night and just do some stretching and just chill out and kind of calm the mind before he drops in. So here we have Hans Mindnich, originally out of Stowe, Vermont, now residing in Glacier, Washington. Big shout out to his girlfriend, Zoe Vernon, who hopefully is tuning in, cheering on her man.
Former competitor as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, Hans was saying that, you know, his approach is kind of less is more. I guess you could say we saw that last year with his backside three wall ride. Not a hugely difficult trick, but highly consequential. So, you know, when we see people doing 7s and even 10s into Corbet's, he took it a little bit mellower, but super creative. And I'm really excited to see what he has for us this year.
2, 1, go for it.
All right, Hans Mindnich dropping in. Hans has placed second in 2020 and in 2021. Making his way to the top of the nose. Oh, going frontside 3 off the side of the nose and holding it together. Big pow slash right under the Coombs cave. And a backside 3 tail grab off that left side kicker. And here comes Hans in his NASA jacket, gonna shoot it to the moon off the crowd pleaser with a frontside 360. Hans Mindnich staying on his feet the whole way down.
Whoo! Wow, what an incredible run. Look at Hans saying hi to his mom. As well, shout out to his brother Nils, who's up in British Columbia doing some filming. But Hans throwing down top to bottom in the couloir, composed, stomping everything nice and clean. Let's enjoy this replay.
Wow. I'd say that Hans's run might be a little deceptive to the other skiers and riders in the comp because he made it look way too easy.
And the icing on the cake, that beautiful front 3 at the end, locks in that front side grab, and the pow slash from the wind-loaded snow in the bottom of the landing. Hans, what a great way to start off your campaign, to be crowned for your first time as the King of Corbet's.
I think he's pumped on that one. How could you not be? It'll be interesting to see if he decides to take his second run. That's a run that could stand up all day.
Well, our next athlete getting ready to drop in. We're going to see our first woman dropping in here for this year's 2022 edition of Kings and Queens of Corbet's. And it's your reigning queen, the only female snowboarder to ever be crowned queen, obviously. But yeah, Madison Blackley who it's a pleasure having her back. And one thing Madison loves about this event, I mean, it's beautiful, the camaraderie amongst the athletes, the skiers and the snowboarders, the men and the women. But let's hear from Madison and her thoughts on the camaraderie here and why this event is so special.
Really the community of all the people, the skiers and the snowboarders together makes it such a fun trip. Like, it's not really about whether you win. Like, you're just kind of supporting everybody to kind of do their best, and you want everyone to land. It's really just good camaraderie and just a really fun, like, Jackson Hole vacation, honestly. Shout out to Marissa Krawczak, Big Mountain Marissa. Really hope to see her stomping it and spinning it and just kind of killing it the whole way down. But
Catch my breath.
honestly, too many people that I hope have great runs. Just can't wait to see what happens.
Good for 30 seconds out.
In the start, your reigning queen, again, the only snowboarding queen in the 4 years that this event has been held, defending her throne. And let's see how Madison will fare on this first of 2 goes if she wants to take. These athletes don't have to take that second drop if they don't want to. Madison coming out of Park City, Utah. Well, that's her home originally, residing in Salt Lake City now. Madison has over 10 years of filming experience and a lot of time in the streets, but really taking to the backcountry these days, Moran.
Yeah, she's definitely got some street and jib accolades under her belt. And here we go, our reigning queen of, or our defending queen of Corbet's dropping in, Madison Blackley. Madison coming up to the nose. Kind of decision point right there, deciding what is going to be the best way in, taking the goat path in. I know that our park crew here at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort, Rainian Diarge, our head of the park crew, and his whole team, Pat Holland, Scott A., all the guys and girls, they put a ton of work into this. They actually chiseled away at that cornice up there to create a little bit of a smoother entrance on the nose, or to make that goat path a little bit smoother. So as we just saw Madison taking that. And something really interesting is that as the park crew worked on the whole course, they set up nets to catch every bit of snow that came down the couloir so they could then use it to build lower features. So Madison, having just hit that left side feature, getting some of that fresh snow. You can see that there are pockets of deeper snow. Now she's sizing up the final hit. Looks like coming into the left side takeoff in our crowd pleaser and getting melon grab. And cheers from the crowd. Hundreds of people assembled here, and I really do love that after our riders, our competitors hit the crowd pleaser, they land on that hard, slope style type landing. It's definitely pretty firm, but then they get to celebrate with a nice, as you were saying, DC, a nice big wind-loaded pow turn right here at the bottom. So that's a great way to finish off their run here at Kings and Queens of Corbet. Take a look at the replay of Madison.
Smooth entry on the goat path in.
And there we go. That's what I was talking about, that big blown in ribbon of snow right there at the bottom before coming through the final Red Bull arch. I love too what Madison was saying about the camaraderie. Like, if there's any one single underlying thread that ties this whole event together, I would have to say the word camaraderie sums that up. Like, every single one of our competitors mentioned how, yeah, it's really fun to come and compete, but what they really love is that that's the reason they're here in Jackson, and they get to either meet new people or see old friends, and they're all just getting out shredding. They're here for a week. The weather window is a week long, so they have tons of time to just go explore the mountain, explore the backcountry, and ride with new and old friends. And every single one of our competitors has mentioned that over and over about that being, really their most favorite part of the whole event.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful gathering of some beautiful human beings, and it's such a pleasure hanging out with them and seeing them all have fun together when normally a lot of these athletes wouldn't have the opportunity to come together. Well, our next athlete that will be dropping in, another veteran out here for Kings and Queens of Corbet, now calling Jackson Hole home. This is Tim Durtschi, who's at the top getting ready to drop in. And, an athlete that's known to raise the bar himself. He's definitely impressed by how the bar has been raised by all his peers out here. And let's hear Tim's thoughts on the raising of the bar out here at Kings and Queens of Corbet.
I first competed in the Corbet's event in 2020. where I saw Parkin do his first double backflip. The bar gets raised every year. I know everyone's fired up and really excited to see what Parkin and Jake have up their sleeve, and you know, see what kind of tricks people can connect all the way down to Corbett. It's super inspiring, and I'm happy to be back and excited to throw down.
Well, Tim Durtschi, as I said, a veteran out here for the event. TGR athlete, Teton Gravity Research Athlete, 2021 movie Stoke the Fire by TGR. You guys should definitely check that out if you have not done so yet. Giving the viewers some homework back home, Moran. You know, a lot of these athletes put on some amazing or do some amazing filming projects. And Tim Durtschi, definitely one that loves to film. And check out the TGR movie, the Teton Gravity Research movie, Stoke the Fire, to see some amazing shredding from Mr. Tim Durtschi.
Yeah, TGR definitely synonymous with Jackson Hole. Their whole crew has been leading the charge in ski filmmaking, ski and snowboard filmmaking, and even beyond that, mountain biking and surfing, all the other stuff they do now. Leading the charge for decades. Tim, a very familiar face around Teton Village and in all the TGR recent movies. Yeah, he said he actually missed Kings and Queens last year because he was filming. And so here we go. We've got Tim Durtschi taking a unique line. Looks like he's coming up to the west wall. Our first competitor to take that line, jumping into the west wall and then handling the goat path. Little rugged right there, but no problem. That ski independent suspension worked well for him, and then going 360 out of the Coombs Cave and catching what was a really nice landing. All right, Tim Durtschi working his way down, almost getting caught by a snow snake, but hanging on to it and coming into the crowd pleaser with a left side 720 and a nice soft finish. Got the drones buzzing around him, giving it up. The crowd was pumped on Tim Durtschi. We've got a huge crowd here in the bottom of 10 Sleep Bowl. I know we've been hearing, I heard last night they had the athlete autograph session, which was huge, and we had people who showed up from out of town, from all across the country to check this out. All right, Tim, into the Coombs Cave. Left side 3, and then here's that left 7 off of the crowd pleaser. That jump has been redesigned this year. It's got a better line on it that lines up to the fall line of the course a little bit better. And I know the DC, you were out here the other day when the athletes were training on that jump. What was their feedback?
Yeah, I mean, they loved the jump. Big shout out to the Jackson Hole Park and Pipe crew, led up by Pat Holland. Randy Diarge is out of town working on another project right now. Handed over the reins to Pat Holland, and yeah, Pat Holland and his team here at the Jackson Hole Park and Pipe crew have been absolutely killing it, and they've been loving the setup out here at the base of the mountain. They didn't get to ride the coulee, but they got to practice on this jump, and they are really enjoying it. It's a true step down, lots of air time. Well, next to drop, all attention to the top of the couloir. We have got another local athlete, Corey Jackson from Jackson. The guy who the reigning two-time king, Mr. Carl Fosfet, Crazy Carl, told me, took me aside and was like, watch him, give him lots of love. Let's check in and hear some words from Corey Jackson.
My name is Corey Jackson. I'm 29 years old and I was born here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I'm truthfully just an advocate and fanatic of skiing, so I'm very familiar with this event, know what it entails. I am a rookie, but I think I have what it takes if I can stay on my feet. The park crew's done a really good job. I think there's some good looking jumps in the middle of the couloir, and I'm stoked to see what happens.
All right, Corey Jackson, one of our hometown heroes. He's born and raised here. Amazing family. I love this family. Corey's like another one of my younger brothers. Shout out to Darla and Mike, his parents, his brother Tyler. They've got a really cool family. Like, they all grew up skateboarding together. Darla skated, Tyler and Corey, both amazing skateboarders, and they would go on these road trips, and Mike's a photographer, and he would shoot the whole trip. So it was a really cool dynamic they have. All right, Corey coming into the nose. Seeing a lot of the different approach from the athletes. Coming in switch off the side of that nose. And Corey cutting over to hard skiers right, coming into one of these handmade features. Big backy. hanging on to it, having to shut down some speed, but Corey is a super talented park rider. Going left 7, and he's pumped on that run. His hands are in the air. He is so hyped. Corey Jackson, his first time ever here at Kings and Queens of Corbett, and he is freaking out at the bottom. And DC, like you said, not only did Carl say that Corey was one of the ones to watch, but also Parkin, who is a former King. Both of those guys were like, keep an eye on Corey. And there he is with that switch 1. Big laid out backflip. If you're not following Corey Jackson on socials, you need to. He puts out more content than almost anyone else, daily videos. If you like what you just saw, definitely keep an eye on Corey Jackson.
Wow, so Corey having a great go on his first of 2. We'll see if he'll opt to take his second run, but I love the love he's getting from the local crowd out here. That is awesome.
This sums up Corey Jackson right there. Like, he is always that hype. That's not like just a show that he's putting on because he's here at Kings and Queens of Corbett. It's like, that's Corey on a daily basis. He is just so pumped on life and skiing. And man, if you ever get to hang out with him in the summer or the off season and watch this kid skate, it is a beautiful thing to behold.
And it's got to be cool for the kids out here too. Corey, a Jackson Hole freeride alumni member, you know, so for these little kids, the future, to be able to see, you know, what is possible, that's just incredible.
Yeah,
it's
Corey
beautiful.
and Cam, both alumni of the Jackson Hole Ski and Snowboard Club's freeride program.
Well, our next athlete getting ready to drop in, our first female skier to drop into this year's edition of Kings and Queens of Corbett. We have got Piper Kunst, originally out of South Park, Colorado, now calling Salt Lake City home. And let's hear some words from Piper and how she relates out here to this venue, this couloir.
I looked at Corbett's couloir about 4 years ago with one of my best friends and just stood at the top and went, dang, I wish this was open. And that's the only experience I've ever had with Corbett's. The excitement and the level of ability was totally my speed with Corbett's couloir, and just watching everyone get to huck their meat into it really resonated with me. Once again, I'm sorry, Mom. She's literally so scared right now.
Well, our next athlete, again, a rookie, 21 years of age, coming out of South Park, Colorado, right outside of the cool little mountain hamlet of Alma in Park County, just about 25 minutes south of where I am in Summit County. And a great breeding ground. I mean, so much talent comes out of there. So really hyped to see what Piper has for us. Again, now living in Salt Lake City, and Alta is now her training grounds, and that's where she really has found herself and her skiing. So those training grounds really lend to the type of athleticism it takes to attack a venue like this, Moran.
Absolutely, and here comes Piper. This will be her first time ever in Corbett's couloir, which I think is just absolutely incredible. That's not an uncommon story when we have some of these rookies to the event show up like Piper. There we go. That was her first drop ever into Corbett's couloir and handling it like a champ, staying on her feet, finding all of that fresh snow over on the rider's left side, or sorry, rider's right, skier's right of the couloir. And hanging on to those nice turns, coming into the crowd pleaser. Looks like she's going right side. Oh, Piper Kunst!
What? She just went beast mode. Sent it so deep and just powered through that. Now, checking out her social, backflip, definitely a trick that she's comfortable with, but she just sent it so deep, and just the strength. I mean, I could almost feel the impact of that right here, and she just powered through that landing. Piper,
that was
my
insane.
respect.
That much respect, and I think what we just found out is that, like, you can go incredibly deep on the crowd pleaser, and if you've missed the entire park-style landing, you got a powder landing at the bottom, so it's a win-win.
She did send it to the softer landing. As we look at the replay here for Piper, very clean skiing top to bottom.
Oh, I think she knew it, right? She got up there and she was like, I may have gone a little bigger than I wanted. she could have handled the center takeoff no problem.
Wow.
You all out there could probably hear the crowd here losing their minds through our microphones. They were so loud. There are hundreds of people here, and literally everybody just let out the biggest roar when Piper landed that backflip.
Well, Piper Kunst, definitely a name that's on a lot of people's radar now, as she has just made quite the statement out here on her first of 2 runs. And just a reminder for all you viewing at home, especially if this is your first time tuning into the Kings and Queens of Corbett, and why you're like, well, what's the standings, what's the scores? This is an athlete judge contest. We won't see any scores or any standings today. They're going to be having a viewing party tomorrow where the athletes are going to suss it out and decide who they think should be up on top and be crowned king and queen of Corbett. But Piper making a great go for the crown right there with her first of 2 runs. Next to drop, a veteran out here for Kings and Queens of Corbett, Grant Giller from Evergreen, Colorado, competitive snowboarder, competes in everything. I mean, really slope style, rail jams, those type of events are his specialty, but he loves big mountains. He loves filming in the big mountains, and he loves being out here at Kings and Queens of Corbett. And let's hear some words from Grant Giller, again, a veteran out here for Kings and Queens of Corbett.
I honestly think between everything in super park, slope style contests, like, it's the most scared I've ever been on a snowboard. But I don't know, once you do it, you're like, let me get back on that tram. I got to get my second run in. Funny thing, I'm 0 for 4 on lands here, so was really hoping this was going to be my year. We'll see. Park jump's looking good though. I ride a lot of park, so that might help me out. 3rd time's the charm, Kings and Queens of Corbett. I hope it goes well for me.
All right, well, Grant Giller getting ready to drop in for his first of 2 runs out here in this 2022 edition of Kings and Queens of Corbett. Coming out of Colorado. Does well in peer judge events. He was the Snowboard Magazine Super Park standout from 2019. Here he is, Grant Giller, dropping in.
Grant going backside 3 off the side of the nose. It's a really cool creative takeoff that a lot of people have been using. Grant almost having to pull out of the Kings and Queens competition last year because he had a nasty bite through his tongue, but they stitched it up and he was able to compete. Had a little hard time talking, but he held it together. Oh, look at all that snow Grant's kicking up. Grant was predicting that park skills were gonna play pretty big in people's runs today, coming in switch into the crowd pleaser.
Yeah, you see the thumbs down. Grant not happy with his performance there. He knows that he can do better, and just hats off to Grant coming out here and charging variable conditions out here. Not as soft as he's experienced, as deep as he's experienced in years past. Again, Mother Nature helping out and getting some wind load from the snowfall here the past couple days. But taking a look at the replay here from Grant, love the entry.
Yeah, you definitely got to have your PAL finder on today. Turn it up to 11. I guess he went front 3. Might have called that wrong, but there's pockets of deep snow. It has blown in pretty well, and then there's some other zones that are a little bit firmer. But yeah, I mean, I think Grant will probably be opting to take his second run. You know, I love that Grant, one of his sponsors, is a water filter company. How cool is that? Never without clean water wherever you go. Grant Giller getting paid to filter some water. I love it.
Hey, hydration, not overrated at all. Well, our next athlete, another rookie out here for the Kings and Queens of Corbett's competition. And this gentleman normally competes on the professional half-pipe circuit. We've got snowboarder Ryan Wachendorfer from Edwards, Colorado. I mean, he competes in X Games, Dew Tour member of the U.S. Snowboard half-pipe team, competing on those World Cup levels. And let's check in with Ryan Wachendorfer and his thoughts on what it's going to take to do well here at his first year, dropping into Corbett's.
Today was my first day at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort, so I got to see Corbet's for the first time. I've watched this contest online every year, and it's such a fun contest to watch. I compete on the pro halfpipe circuit. Whenever I can, I try to free ride and ride slopestyle, and just the people that can, do a line all the way down, top to bottom, are going to be, the people that are doing really well. So I'm super stoked to be in Jackson, and I think I've just looked forward to, coming out here and seeing Corbet's for myself, and also just competing. It's going to be a super good time.
Okay, you ready to drop?
Yep.
All right.
And a look at Ryan Wachendorfer up there in the start. Once again, competes on the pro level in halfpipe. The kid's got some skills. I get to announce them all season long, basically, and get to ride with him as well in Colorado at the local mountains. And man, he can tear up terrain parks like it's nobody's business, and he loves filming in the backcountry. So he's just a well-rounded athlete that loves snowboarding. Here he is dropping in.
Ryan, backside 3 and hanging on to the landing, having a little trouble shutting it down. But yeah, Ryan was talking about how being an all-around, well-rounded snowboarder is really important to him. Beautiful frontside 3, frontside grab off of that deceptively small kicker. Those things are way bigger than they may look from a distance. And Ryan coming into the final jump here going double backy with absolutely no problem. He is hyped. Very, very lazy, slow, mellow-looking double backflip. And just coming right over the knuckle, catching the sweet spot of the landing perfectly. That was a crowd pleaser trick off the crowd pleaser jump. Never disappoints with the backflip.
Absolutely, and checking out the replay there, you see the back 3 in. He was talking about possibly doing a crippler, like basically an inverted 540. So we'll see if he will attempt that again. And the beautiful double wildcat, the double backflip with the frontside grab locked in. Ryan Wachendorfer, welcome to Kings and Queens of Corbett. Good to have him out here. And definitely at home, do your homework. Check out what Ryan Wachendorfer does in his time off when he's not out on the professional halfpipe circuit.
Again, worth noting, that was Ryan's first time ever into Corbett. He's never ridden it before, putting on a show and staying on his feet for all of us.
Well, our next athlete that's going to be dropping in, another rookie out here for Kings and Queens of Corbett. Originally out of northern Minnesota, the town of Hibbing is where he hails from. Now living in Truckee, California. His home mountain, Giants Ridge, a tiny little hill up there in Minnesota. This is Nial Romanek. And Nial, a well-rounded athlete as well. Earlier this season, he was competing in the Red Bull Heavy Metal Rail event, bringing in those urban features up in Duluth, Minnesota. But really has been taking his skills to the big mountains and honing those backcountry skills. And let's hear some words from Nial Romanek on what he does to prepare for this event.
I've never been to Jackson, so I always wanted to check it out, so it seemed like an awesome excuse to come here, check out the mountain. I know there's a lot of hype around it, so really wanted to see what it was all about. Got a little intel, kind of, checked out a couple videos, seen some things on the social media and things like that. So honestly, just kind of coming in blind. I think it's kind of maybe the best for me. Kind of seem to do better when I don't actually know what's going on.
All right, now Romanek getting ready. Another one, as you said, DC, one of our rookies. So this will be his first time ever into Corbett. I think it is so impressive when we have people who are riding Corbett for the first time as part of the Kings and Queens of Corbett event. People spend a lifetime psyching themselves up to come here and ride Corbett. And to do it on a world stage like this in front of both a live and a broadcast crowd is a lot of pressure. So shout out to hats off to all of our athletes, especially the ones who are riding this for the first time and trying to compete as well as just simply figure out what Corbett has to offer.
Well, again, Nial hailing out of Minnesota and really started his career filming in more of the urban environment that you see a lot of athletes, a lot of riders out of the Midwest kind of catering towards. But transition into big mountain events. Here's Nial dropping in for his first time here in the Corbett.
That is a popular line. Nial, the beautiful backside 3, grabbing Indy. Having to shut it down before that first rider's right kicker, which the park crew actually moved down the hill a little bit this year. It was hard for riders and skiers to hit it when coming off the nose in the past because they had so much heat. Now putting together a good run so far. Little bobble up there after he landed off the nose. Nial coming into the crowd pleaser, taking that center line and going backside 7, Stalefish. Coming up a little bit slow. Again, his first time ever riding Corbet's couloir.
Well, Nial started his career filming with a very creative think tank crew. If you want to dive into a little history of Nial's career as we look at the replay here.
There's that frontside 3. That rider's right zone seems to have quite a bit of snow left in it.
And this year's film project that you should check out for more on Nial is I Love You, Say It Back.
That's a good name.
It is a good name.
Yeah.
So Nial, it's a pleasure having him out at this event. And we'll see if Nial will take his second of 2 runs. But again, going from competing in events like the Red Bull Heavy Metal up in Duluth, Minnesota, to the big mountain events here, the Kings and Queens of Corbet's. Well, I love seeing the just the variety of skills out here put on display by these athletes.
They couldn't be any more different events.
All right, next athlete to drop. We have got Marissa Krawczak, a veteran, out here for Kings and Queens of Corbet's. And let's hear some words from Marissa on what she's looking forward to see go down here this year.
So this is my 3rd year doing the Kings and Queens of Corbet's. This year is going to be interesting. It looks like some pretty solid conditions in the couloir. I predict that, people are still going to send it. And I predict that it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really interesting. It's really good just to be with everybody and see what everybody does. It's just like a celebration of skiing and snowboarding, so it's fun to be a part of.
And your next athlete, Marissa Krawczak, up there in the start, coming out of Bend, Oregon, Mount Bachelor, her home mountain, a wildland firefighter as well. Give her a follow at Big Mountain Marissa. Getting ready to drop in. Bend, Oregon represent. Seems like athletes from Bend, Oregon do well in contests here at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort.
They do. And here comes Marissa. She says she likes taking long walks in the woods on her split board. I don't think she's riding a split board today, but there she goes, getting a frontside grab off the nose. And I think that hard rider's left side of the landing has a little bit of a ribbon in it. Looks like she landed just on top of that and got kind of bucked backwards. Coming now through the center of the course, grabbing Melon. There's a lot of different backgrounds in our skiers and riders today. We've got competitive pipe riders, competitive slopestyle riders. We've got more of the backcountry riders, filmers. So it's going to be interesting to see which of those types of backgrounds shine. I think it's no secret that with all of these man-made features, especially this bottom jump, the park riding skills are coming in handy. And Marissa going backside 3 on the crowd pleaser, landing a little bit tail heavy and kind of washing out there. But again, it's not really any one feature of the course. This is a very non-traditional event. As we've talked about, there is no judges panel. The judges are the riders. They are judging themselves. They're judging the entire field. And, it's very much going to be judged on overall impression about how you make your way from the top to the bottom. So if you go down on one of the features, have a little bobble here or there, that may not be the thing that cuts you out. You could still have a good chance of ending up on the podium. And Marissa Krawczak with her backside 3 off the crowd pleaser there, just washing out a little bit and got her down at the at the bottom, sharing some intel, getting some intel. But that is definitely a big part of the event, DC, with you know, once every rider goes, they want to know back up at the top how it was and what people are feeling about the course.
All right, our next athlete getting ready to drop in, Chase Blackwell. Just like Ryan Wachendorfer, Chase, an athlete who competes on the professional half-pipe circuit, an X Games veteran as well, coming out of Longmont, Colorado. And very good friends with Mr. Ryan Wachendorfer. That was a lot of filming with him. But let's hear from Chase and his first thoughts here on Corbet's.
I have zero history with Kings and Queens or Corbet's couloir. First time getting to drop into Corbet's. I've been to Jackson Hole before, but never ridden the couloir. The overall aspect of the terrain is insane. Like nothing I've ever really seen before or ridden before. So I'm super excited to go and try it out.
So Chase Blackwell, such a pleasure having him out here. Another athlete. I mean, everything I said about Ryan, I can say about Chase. I get to announce him on the pro level circuit. No stranger to making it into the finals with his incredible skills. But the kid just loves snowboarding. It happens to be that he specializes in half pipe, but he loves filming, loves getting into the backcountry, and tears apart any terrain you put in front of him.
And Chase, with his first run ever into Corbet's couloir, staying on his feet, coming in super hot. A little too much heat right there. Yeah, he's okay, claiming it. Have to say that might be our fastest run down the couloir today. Unfortunately for Chase, this is not a timed event.
He's not afraid to charge and, well, puts it on display right there.
I mean, he's no stranger to going fast. To go as big as he does out of a 22-foot pipe, he knows what it means to go as fast as he can and with that edge control. And there's Chase finishing it off with a nice smooth backside 3 off the crowd pleaser and even milking a couple pow turns in that little wind-blown pocket here at the bottom.
Yeah, the backside 3, no grab, just stalling in there, chilling it out, kind of Mark Frank Montoya style.
Yeah.
For anyone out there that wants to look up how to spin without grabbing, Mark Frank Montoya, a legend in snowboarding who was one of the best to do that, just showing that composure in the air. And looking at the replay of Chase here.
Yeah, Chase just, he said, you know, line selection was going to be a big part of what played into his strategy. And his line just happened to be almost straight down the couloir.
And you see the sticker on the helmet, member of the U.S. snowboard halfpipe team, just narrowly missing a spot on this year's team that's been competing overseas at the Big O Show. And our next athlete getting ready to drop in. We've got a reigning king, Parkin Costain, 2020 King of Corbet. And let's hear from Parkin and his thoughts on coming back for the 4th time to this event.
This is my 4th year competing in the King and Queen of Corbet's here in Jackson, and really looking forward to what everyone has in store this year. It's going to be really unique. I'm really excited to see how Corey skis this venue this year. He's kind of a resort shredder that's just been known to send it to hardpack, and yeah, I think he's going to surprise us all with what he's got.
Well, and there you have it, your next athlete getting ready to drop in. 22 years of age, he was your 2020 King of Corbet's. Had the double backflip in that year that was just so controlled and so huge. Originally out of Whitefish, Montana, now residing in Big Sky. You can catch him in the Teton Gravity Research TGR 2021 film, Stoke the Fire. And for cool content on Parkin, we were talking about this the other day. If you're not following him, give him a follow because the kid is so creative and puts out amazing content. But he had a post back in October. The post was October 19th to be precise, where he skied a big line, does a huge left 3 off a rock, and then continues to throw a massive backflip over an avalanche that he had triggered, landing that 3. And it's insane, absolutely insane. Skis away clean, no problem, but a very exhilarating clip to witness. And Parkin Costain what an incredible athlete he is. Incredible mountain biker as well. Big into freeride biking. And along with some friends back home, they've got Legacy Bike Park that all you mountain bike fans definitely need to check out and look more into that. So very accomplished individual Parkin Costain is.
He definitely is, and you know, I think it's safe to say that his win in 2020 was a big part of what kicked off his career, right? We've now seen him in TGR films, we see him popping up, and yeah, DC, back to what you were just talking about, this backflip over the avalanche. Like, no one ever wants to be anywhere near an avalanche, and I would say that you probably don't want to be in the air over one at all, but it was wild to see that clip of him floating through the air, stops the backflip clean, and while he's in the air, his crew and his filmers are yelling on the radios, avalanche, avalanche, and he stomped it and rode away safely. Well, here comes Parkin Costain. What do you think, DC?
Well, Coopcom collected with a nice switch one into the couloir off the front of the nose. Oh!
Oh, Parkin
Costain
Costain back-to-back backies going cross-court across the couloir, somehow managing to hold it together with all of that speed and going huge, huge left 7 off the crowd pleaser. The crowd pleaser jump living up to its name. Parkin Costain seems to be a crowd favorite with that run. Holy moly, I don't know how he possibly set up so quickly from one backflip to another, but I gotta say, that strategy of taking it cross-court, across the fall line, is a super good idea. It obviously played well for him, but it was a great way to manage his speed, control it a little bit, and he got in some extra hits. You know, 2 hits right there in the middle of the gut of the couloir.
Well, checking out the replay here for Parkin Costain. And just a reminder, there is the People Choice Award this year, so keep an eye out for that QR code and scan it when it's on the TV for your voice to be heard out here and pick your favorites. But yeah, the critical setup of linking those 2 backflips together, absolutely insane.
You know, I think that's very reminiscent of his run in 2020 when he won. He linked so many tricks. After he did the double back in, he then put down like 4 or 5 more tricks. We were talking about how he had probably the most hits in the couloir of that day. And so that's a perfect example of the control Parkin has to be able to land one trick and immediately set up for the next one.
I mean, there was no room for error between those 2 hits.
No, I'll be honest. I'll tell you, I was sweating it a little bit. My pits got a little sweaty. I was like, where is he going? Is he going into the rocks? If he doesn't land this could not work out well, but he handled it.
Handled indeed. All right, well, our next athlete to drop in, another rookie out here for Kings and Queens, coming out of South Lake Tahoe. This is Molly Armanino, and let's hear from Molly and her thoughts on getting invited to this prestigious event.
I got the invite. It sounded exciting. Not much history. I haven't skied it ever. I think I looked at it one time, like 2 years ago, but it was closed. So not much history. I've always watched Kings and Queens, obviously, so I thought it would be a good, fun opportunity to meet people. And I don't know. I'm glad I'm not going first. I think that person's gonna set the stage.
Well, again, Molly Armanino, a Kings and Queens rookie out here, grew up ski racing, competes on the freeride world qualification circuit as well, coming out of South Lake Tahoe, a climate activist. Check out her film Amend to get more educated on what Molly is pushing for, especially in her home area of South Lake Tahoe. And here she is, Molly dropping in. First time at this event.
Molly dropping straight off the nose and into kind of the base of the west wall, handling it no problem, showing her big mountain freeride skills, and unfortunately getting a little eaten up in that snow ribbon just under the Coombs Cave. Not shying away from the hand-built features.
Great control.
Oh, there's kind of a new line that Molly had, popping over those rocks on the far skier's right and coming into the crowd pleaser. Molly going left 3, staying on her feet and coming through that Red Bull arch to some high fives, I believe, from Sander Hadley, and getting a hug from, is that Corey Jackson, I think? Anyways, it's, again, right there, perfect example of the camaraderie that's built between all of our competitors here at Kings and Queens of Corbett. It's really, really, the foundation of this event is all based on the vibe and the hype and creating those connections.
It really is, and it's cool being up there the past couple days when the athletes have just gotten a look into the coulee and hearing them talk, and some of the veterans giving some advice to some of the rookies out here. But enjoying the replay here for Molly. And you mentioned Coombs Cave. Talk a little bit about the anatomy for those that are tuning in for the first time, and just the legend who Coombs Cave is named after.
Yeah, Coombs Cave, named after Doug Coombs, legendary big mountain skier. Unfortunately, RIP, passed away a number of years ago skiing in France. But that cave is named after him, and it's got a plaque in there that commemorates it for Doug.
Well, our next athlete getting ready to drop as we focus our attention back to the top. We've got Blaine Gallivan dropping in a local Teton Ripper out here. He's been on the podium at Kings and Queens before, got a 3rd in 2021. Love watching this guy do his thing. He's got a really cool business as well. In-season wood-fire pizza and bread. It's a mobile business. It's a converted 1990s horse trailer. And they just cruise around farmers markets and so forth and so on, selling some what look like amazing pizzas. I got to get my hands on one of those.
They're good. They're good. Shout out to his girl Franny, and also business partner at In Season. Yeah, Blaine Gallivan, another all-terrain ripper. And you know what? He actually was featured in a short film from LibTech back in 2017, where he was featured with Lonnie Ball, the first person to ever drop into Corbett's. It was about the first run into Corbett's, interviews with both Blaine and Lonnie. Here comes Blaine Gallivan, our 15th competitor, cutting the rope, which I think is okay today.
Yeah.
We won't call the cops on him this time. And Blaine stoking up the crowd up there at the top of Corbett's couloir, coming in from, let's see, taking a unique line, kind of lip sliding the edge of Corbett's and then dropping in. Definitely a unique line. Coming into that rider's right cheese wedge.
Beautiful flat 3.
Let's see what he's got off the crowd pleaser. Big left 7 and hanging on to it, Blaine Gallivan. The crowd is hyped. Blaine has no problem going absolutely massive. He's known for it. He's got millions of views online from different films and edits, clips that he's put out. He seems to be happy with that run. I'm happy with that run for him. You know, after the natural selection event was done a number of weeks ago, Blaine went out and hit one of the biggest features in the course. There's that flat 3. And finishing off with his left 7 and hanging on through the powder pocket here at the bottom of Corbett's couloir. Look at that camaraderie, the camaraderie that we've been talking about, literally getting a hug from every single person at the finish here.
So cool to see, and I love the kind of cross-court, like opposite transition finding to just enter the couloir at the top. Great creativity by Blaine Gallivan. Well, our next athlete, a veteran out here at Kings and Queens, 3rd year here at Kings and Queens competing. He was actually the first athlete to do a double backflip into this couloir. This is Jake Hopfinger. Let's hear from Jake and why he chooses to return to this event year after year.
It's just the best crowd of people here at Jackson. We just ski around the resort every day and have a great time, and some of the best skiers and riders in the world are here, so it's such a blast. I'm really psyched. It's looking good this year. Different snow conditions, but our tactics are a little different, I think, this year. Typically, we've built a little jump further back and kind of punted up and into it to get to the landing. We'll see this year. I think the tactics might be different. We're going to play it by ear, though. We'll see how it looks on competition day.
He was the first athlete to throw a double backflip into Corbett's. And then Parkin Costain followed his buddy that year and was inspired by him and ended up taking the crown that year. Last year, double flat spin into the couloir. Sweet Protection, one of our event partners, sponsors him not only as a winter athlete, but a summer athlete as well for mountain biking. Very talented individual, dropping in for his first run.
And a left 3 right off the nose, right off the top. Not even riding in on that ribbon like many other competitors have. Backflip, cross court, like his buddy Parkin, sorry. Mixing it up a little bit with that flat 3. And Jake coming in hot into the crowd pleaser.
There's a double flatty.
Yes.
The double flat spin on the crowd pleaser. A little bit of a revert out of the landing, but geez, hats off to Jake Hopfinger for throwing down yet again. He was saying, you know, it's not the type of year with the conditions given to send it off the top. You see the more toned down approach he had from the top, a more calculated approach with that left 3 in. But what a great run, had the backflip, had the kind of Lincoln loop style flip up in that run as well. And then the double flat spin, the trick he threw into the couloir last year off the crowd pleaser here at the finish.
And there's that tight cross court line. Backflip into the flat spin, kind of Lincoln loop, and the double flat spin. Staying on his feet, he washed out a little bit, but again, it's not like he's not getting necessarily deducted for that.
Yeah.
It is the entire run that will be considered by his peers. I think, you know, to be honest, that was one of the better runs I think we've seen. He stayed on his feet most of the time. He had a double in there. He had some unique tricks, and you know what I think I'm really impressed with is that he spun right off the top of the nose. Not to take anything away from the other riders and skiers who've been coming kind of in off that fin, but Jake went right off the top.
Yeah, you know, I said toned down approach from what we've seen him do in the past couple years, but still, that's he's sending it in. That would be a lifetime achievement award for your average athlete out there to spin a 3 like that here in the Corbett. So shout out to Jake Hopfinger, and he's such a nice guy too. Just you can't help but be a fan of him when you meet him. Super nice guy. Always got a smile on his face. Just positive vibes always coming from Mr. Hopfinger.
We might have lost power again. Do you guys have power?
You do have comms? So some technical difficulties again here in this extreme environment. So we have lost our feed down here at the base. So we'll be getting back with you once we get things powered up again out here at the King and Queens of Corbet's.
So we got Juliette Willmann ready to drop. She's coming to us for her first run in Corbett's. Coming from the Freeride World Tour side of things. She grew up in the Alps. I believe father ski instructor, sister ski racer. She is ski racer herself. So she's grown up amongst it. She's got the chops for this, and that's exactly why I end up with an invite to a serious event like this, Kings and Queens of Corbet's. It's so cool, as DC and Jeff have mentioned, see how different backgrounds lead to different interpretations of the mountain. You know, we tend to see more of the racers putting down big, fast turns, but also handling those edges to maintain control. Speed control is a huge element today, so I think that that's positioning people well to maintain control, hit the features they want. And here we see Juliette dropping in. Coming to the lip, coming in hot. And as Juliette's coming into that bottom kicker, choosing a straight air, we see those flags just whipping down there. So I think it makes sense to keep it safe, keep it calm right off the top. Let's take a look at the replays. So excited to see Juliette finish up that run. Juliette, that big mountain attitude coming to Corbett. She was down these 600 vertical feet real quick. It's cool to see the different pace athletes are taking, different ways you can interpret the same slope. Corbett's can feel like a little constrained to the standard athlete coming up here. They look at the easiest option, the goat path in. They think that once you've gotten past that, you're all set. We're up top with Yuki. Let's hear from him about taking a different approach.
Past year was like everyone jump off the cliff. This year, going to maybe more different lines or different hits, something like that. So this is my second time Kings and Queens and my second time like freeride contest. I compete slopestyle and big air a lot. Now I'm trying to film, like switch my snowboard and then trying to film.
50 seconds till they're ready for you. Yep. Okay.
We got Yuki Kadono dropping in, buckling up helmet, just making sure he's tight dialed. Everybody's stoked to see Yuki back this year. In fact, last year he brought such great energy to the comp and went massive. Makes sense that he's back for year two. But I think he enjoyed himself so much in the previous year that he's living in Jackson now, riding in the backcountry, filming, starting to broaden his experiences away from the traditional background of half pipe, slope style, big air. Looks like Yuki's just about to drop in. Here we go, Yuki Kadono dropping in for his second appearance at Kings and Queens of Corbett. Yuki dropping off the wall. Jeff and DC, down to you guys.
Thank you, Andrew White, for, Yuki with the hand drag back three into the method. Moran, he is having a run right now.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of people were excited to see what Yuki was going to do. I know last year I was so excited with his switch back one. There he goes, back 10 off the crowd pleaser. Yuki with one of the most creative entrances into the couloir that we've seen today. Like you just said, we'll see a replay here in a minute. He is like the most hyped dude. It's like overwhelming how much stoke this guy has. I love it. It's infectious being around Yuki. And to see him put down that run that he just did is just, he's so excited. Everyone's so excited for him. But that hand drag back three in was one of the more creative lines we've seen today. Coming off of that little channel that all the competitors built. As Andrew was saying earlier, in past years we've seen competitors building takeoffs back away from the nose, back away from the lip, so that they could actually get more air. This year they were toning it down a little bit, and there's that back three hand drag, followed up with a beautiful method, and then going back 10, sitting it down a little bit, but dipping the shoulder on that third spin, and almost coming into the finish there and almost like seeming a little bit overwhelmed, like, whoa, what just happened to me?
Well done, Yuki Kadono. Of course, last year he started things off, if you haven't seen it, with a switchback one, the first switchback 180 into Corbett's couloir, where he went absolutely massive. So Yuki, we will see, he's got the option to take a second run if he would like to. But our next athlete getting ready to drop in will be Audrey Hebert. And we're gonna check in and hear some words from Audrey on her approach to Corbett's after her experience last year.
I feel like last year I had looked at Corbett at Kings and Queens for the previous 2 years, and I really was psyched. I knew if I ever get into this comp, what I'm gonna do, and that was front flipping into it, and I went for 1.5 instead of 1. Hurt my back, but I was good enough to do a second run, and that landed me on the podium, which was great. My goal this year, I guess, will be to land both times instead of tomahawking half the couloir.
All right, so Audrey Hebert residing in Banff, here for her second year, second place last year here at Corbett's. And it was her first time ever dropping into this couloir.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting first time in. She wanted to do a front flip. She threw it a little bit too hard and actually went 1.5 and kind of went diving into Corbett's. Luckily, there was a good amount of snow, padded her landing. But what we just found out recently is that she injured her back on that. She didn't know last year if she was going to be able to take a second run, but she was feeling good. She came back up, took a second run, and then ultimately ended up finishing in second place. And she was saying that she's been dealing with that back injury for the last year, but she's got some good PTs, and she's been working hard, and now she's back at it and really excited to get back into Corbett's today.
Well, if you were following earlier in the show and happened to see our start sheet and our drop order, we were supposed to see Blake Wilson drop next, but we had to mix up our drop order just a little bit. Some of the athletes that were going to be dropping next here got delayed on the tram, so Big Red holding up a couple athletes, getting back up to the top, but don't fret, we will see them. But Audrey Hebert up there ready to roll, so we're going to be go ahead and continuing on with her. Blake Wilson would have been the athlete we would have seen drop, and then Crazy Carl Fosvet, your defending king out here and two-time king of Corbett's, will be after Blake. So Audrey started competing in 2014, cutting her teeth in free ride competitions and bank slalom events. Has competed on the Freeride World Tour before, and again, second year out here at Kings and Queens of Corbett's, and we're very excited to have Audrey back.
Did you turn it on, or did he turn it on?
I think we might.
He should. It's on.
Is it recording too?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Are you good for 30 seconds, Aubrey? Audrey?
Yeah.
Okay. 30 seconds.
Getting hearing the banter up top, sounds like about 30 seconds till Audrey drops in. And
above that little tree, is that it? Should have cut that, but I didn't.
Audrey getting some last-minute directions. She knows Corbett's is in front of her. She just wants to make sure she knows she's going to the place where she intends to be. It sounds like she might be headed towards the goat path. And there we go, Audrey Hebert from Banff, Canada, coming on in through the goat path, kicking up what seems to be quite a bit of snow.
Yep,
and
nice clean
Audrey
entry into the couloir.
Working her way over to the rider's right side, kind of airing off that ribbon of snow that's blown in. Oh, going front flip. 2 takeoffs there on that left side kicker, hand built by our Jackson Hole Mountain Resort Park crew. And here comes Audrey Hebert into the crowd pleaser, taking the left side takeoff, getting a little bit of speed loss coming in, but staying on her feet, and people are pumped, getting some high fives from Cam and Yuki as she comes into the finish corral here. Audrey saying that she didn't really have any big strategy coming into it this year. I know she felt a little bit more confident having 1 year under her belt, having ridden Corbets and knowing what it feels like, and obviously now being healthy again and being ready to get back in there. So there's Audrey Hebert coming in through the goat path. And you know, to put this in perspective, her just riding into Corbets right there is a feat that 99% of people who come to Jackson Hole Mountain Resort will not do. So just riding down and even putting some tricks down in Corbet's couloir is a big feat. Getting some smiles out of Audrey. Looks like she's stoked on her run. And all of our riders and skiers.
And back up to the top. Our next athlete, originally out of Bethel, Maine, Sunday River, his home mountain, now residing in Salt Lake City. Blake Wilson will be dropping in next. And, well, such an iconic mountain this is, Jackson Hole Mountain Resort. And let's hear from Blake and his thoughts on coming out here to Corbet's for the first time.
I've never skied Jackson Hole Resort, and I've never seen Corbet's couloir in person. I don't know, I've watched a lot of videos of it. It's definitely a historic feature. Kind of been studying some tape here last couple weeks getting ready for this. I honestly don't really know what's going to happen out there. Just kind of keeping an open mind, really stoked to get out there and shred with everyone. Kind of play it by ear for sure, but just stoked to be up here.
And there you have it, Blake Wilson up in the start again, out of Bethel, Maine originally, now residing in Salt Lake City. Competed in mogul skiing and slopestyle for about 10 years.
Good for
And now really pursuing the free ski filming career. Lately, he filmed with Faction Skis and their film Roots. Definitely check that out. Featuring Kings and Queens veteran Alex Hall as well, who congratulations to Alex Hall. Just was awarded, won the gold medal over in Beijing, over in slopestyle. So Alex was a competitor here last year, teammate of Faction Skis with Blake Wilson. Wasn't able to be here this year due to competing over in Beijing, but congrats Alex Hall again on your slopestyle gold medal. And here's his buddy, Blake Wilson, dropping in for his first time into Corbet's.
Oh! Blake Wilson, no hesitation, going quick one and then switch one after the butter in. Link in the cross court line. Backflip right there. Now coming into the crowd pleaser and going nice, smooth, slow, left 7.
And that's how it's done right there. Blake Wilson, first time into Corbet's, and just handles.
Andrew up here, up by the start line. We've got a little window of sunshine. Clouds are obviously coming in and intermittent, but this is the weather that we've been given. With a full week to choose, we're really hopeful on some soft snow, and we've gotten some blown in, but this is what all the athletes are totally used to, working with the elements. They've got a drop window so you can choose, you can window shop a little bit. But once you're into it, mentally you're prepared to go full run. You know, as we think about the athletes still left to drop in this first run, we've got Carl Fosfet, 2-time champion here. See him walking up. You know, with time and experience, you get to understand a run a little bit better, but it also starts leaving you with more memories of challenges in the past. So I think it's really cool to see this blend of athletes, whether you've got the senior experience or you're a freshman. It's awesome to see everybody out here interpreting the mountain in their own way. Hey DC, let me send it back to you, down bottom.
Right on, thank you, Andrew Whiteford up at the top. Hope you're staying warm up there, brother. But again, Local guy, he knows what's up, knows how to stay warm in these elements, but we appreciate you with your finger on the pulse up there at the top, Andrew. Well, Carl Fosfet, Crazy Carl, up there at the top, hiking up to the start. The only two-time king of Corbets, and he's your defending king of Corbets as well, Moran.
He is, yeah. Crazy Carl coming in hot. To be honest, dude's really not got anything to prove. He's won this event twice out of the last 4 years, but I don't think that's going to slow him down. I don't think he's going to settle for a mellow run. Crazy Carl with just some of the best energy. I mean, this guy represents the kings and queens of Corbet's ethos, the energy. He's just so excited about everything, and it really shows in his interviews, kind of, finishing everything off with a "you" and just being hyped on everything, and you can see it in his runs.
Well, true ambassador of Stoke, Crazy Carl, Carl Fosfet. Let's hear from Carl and his words and his love for this event.
I love this event. It's so much fun to get all these skiers, snowboarders together, and I think we all got to keep an eye out for Corey Jackson, Loke Dog kid, who's going to be throwing down. And yeah, I think this guy's going to blow your mind because every time I see him ski, he's just next level. So keep an eye out for him. Huge shout out to just all the up and coming Groms out there. Skiing and snowboarding are next level these days. It's so rad to see the next generation, and hopefully you guys are getting stoked, and we'll see you on the podium in some years to come.
Well, again, shout out Crazy Carl, the only two-time king of Corbets from 2018 and last year, 2021. Big shout out to Mama Foss as well, Carl's mother, coming out here to cheer on her son. And if you guys want to see some entertaining content, definitely check out Carl Fosfet's Brap and Ski. So Brap Ski, something really cool film project. Him and his buddy Jasper Newton are doing a film about the two funnest sports, brapping and skiing. So Carl Fosfet, always an entertaining individual, putting out some really entertaining content. We're gonna check in again with the third member of our team, Andrew Whiteford, up at the top. Andrew, how's it going up there?
Back up top, I'm like 50 feet away from the lip of Corbet's, so I just see the world fall away with rough cliffs on either side. But there's a lot of nuances and different lines that we have options for within this. Traditionally, the goat path, skiers' left side off the top, is going to be the least consequential. In previous seasons, we've seen a lot of athletes going off the nose, which is presenting the biggest air opportunity. Previous years, that's where we've seen a lot of doubles take off from. As we wrap around to the far right-hand side, we haven't seen anybody drop in far skiers' right, which tends to have kind of an airplane turn coming back across the slope. Now, some of you might remember from seasons past, J-Rob even finding his way through a really narrow, what can only be described as a crack in the rock to access his line. Bring it back over to the skier's left side at the top. One of the most dominant, eye-catching features is the west wall, which is just a beautiful, vertically aligned piece of limestone. I've aired off that a few times. We've seen Forrest Gilson and Jeff Ledger in some of the early versions of this comp go there. One of the most obvious things that's changed this year is the effort to minimize the air and trajectory off the top. So we saw Parkin and Jake requesting a chainsaw, new this year, and they literally cut vertical walls in by the nose, allowing athletes for a potential drop in off the top where you don't start quite as high up in the air. A huge part of the athletes' efforts today is on speed management. So we're going to see how Carl and our last couple athletes in run one handle conditions. We've got Carl dropping any moment now, so I'm going to send it back to you, Jeff and DC. Take it away as we watch Crazy Carl.
Right on, thank you very much, Andrew, and love the history lesson from up at the top there. So much knowledge Andrew has here of this couloir, and here's Crazy Carl dropping in.
Crazy Carl not shying away, coming in confidently, going 360 off the nose. Working his way over into that hand-shaped hip. There's that signature slow backflip. A lot of people got backflips, but Crazy Carl's is pretty unique. It's just lazy, it's slow, it looks so good. And now coming in switch into the crowd pleaser. Going switch left 7.
It looked like maybe switch 10 he was
Or
going
was that 10?
for, yeah.
I missed
Thought he was going to
the
go
beginning
switch
of it.
9 and either over-rotated that switch 9 or just slightly under-rotated that switch 10. But shout out Crazy Carl. What a G. I love this guy. I love the energy he brings to this event every year and just his stoke and love for all the other athletes out there and the future of the sport as well. Cultivates the future of the sport. Always hyping up, you know, all the young up-and-comers, telling me about all the kids that he's got kind of on his radar, up-and-comers, and just a true gentleman out here in the ranks. Owns a production company called Native Earth Productions.
All right, there's
and
that.
Looking at the replays out here.
Slow backflip and, oh, you're right, DC, yeah. Going for 10, switch 10. Coming up a little short though, but I agree, like he is always so hyped about everyone else. Like he's royalty here, pun intended, at the Kings and Queens of Corbet's, and he makes everybody else feel like they are, you know, at the elite level, that they're on his level, that they're the most important person, and it's just such cool energy that he brings, and you can see that it's appreciated by the crowd and by his fellow competitors. So yeah, that was a tough way to finish that run by coming up short on the spin and losing his ski. But again, we've got another run for all of our competitors.
Yeah,
We are working our way through, coming up to the last few to take their first runs for today.
Yeah, 2 athletes yet left to drop, and our next athlete getting ready to drop in resides out here in Jackson now. We've got Kings and Queens veteran Cooper Branham, and
It's a great feeling to be a part of this event, and the energy's great. The riders are always good. It's friends of mine that I'm riding with, so it's can't say no kind of scenario. I think the name of the game is creativity this year. It's fast, it's hard, but it's going to be up to the person who can look at it differently this year than we have in the past. And there's a lot of hits in there, and there's a lot of options, and I think the person who, you know, changes their perspective on it is going to be someone who can make the most out of it.
All right, so Cooper Branham getting ready to drop in. Originally out of Gig Harbor, Washington, Crystal Mountain, his stomping grounds. Moved to Colorado, went to CU Boulder, lived in Crescent Butte for a little bit, and now calling Jackson home.
Coop going frontside 3 off the side fin of the nose. Had a really interesting corked frontside 7 last year. There you go, there's the Wildcat, taking it deep. And remember, the faces of those takeoffs are anywhere from 10 to even up to 15 feet tall, so it gives you an idea of how big those really are and how far they're dropping out of the sky. Coop Branham into the crowd pleaser.
Clean with the front 7.
Solid run from Coop Branham. Coop, he's been out here for a few years. I know he and Cam Fitzpatrick are super tight. Coop's been filming with Cam and the crew from the This Is Us In squad, just recently putting out their new film called Block Party, and Coop having a banger part. I mean, a super, super impressive part in Block Party this year. All right, let's take another look at Coop. There we go, that frontside 3 coming right off of his toe edge, having to use every bit of it. Mixing it up with a backside 3. Coming into that Wildcat, getting a solid grab. And going front 7, landing smooth.
Yeah, came around perfectly into the landing for that frontside 720.
He did. It almost looked like he didn't even touch the ground. He just smooth, right, eased into the landing. Coop Branham, it looks like he's pumped on that run. It will be interesting to see who decides to take a second run. Again, the format for this, every rider and skier in the contest has the option to take 2 runs, but they don't have to take their second run if they're feeling confident about their first run. We've seen that in the past. We'll see what happens. So it could be a shorter field coming into our second runs. We have one more rider.
Yeah, our last rider to drop in to take their first of 2 runs. And it's a rookie out here to Kings and Queens of Corbett, but a veteran when it comes to competition and snowboarding. This is Cheryl Moss, originally from the Netherlands, now calling Idaho home, a 3-time slopestyle world champion, a 3-time Olympian, an X Games gold medalist in big air. Cheryl Moss has been around for a hot minute, Moran, and she has seen it all and done it all. And I love to see the longevity and her just progressing her career and evolving her career and just kind of taking the next step and now taking her career into the big mountains.
All right, that good? Yeah, go for it. Thank you.
All right, Cheryl Moss was waiting for a little light to shine on the course, and here she comes into the nose. I love that drone shot. Cheryl coming in on the goat path. She was just here a few weeks ago competing in the natural selection tour and has consciously decided to take that very competitive slopestyle background and bring it into the backcountry, into these big mountain freeride comps. Cheryl off that rider's right cheese wedge, getting a frontside grab and landing perfectly on that ribbon of blown in snow.
Yeah, sniping the good landing on that one.
Let's see what Cheryl has for us on the crowd pleaser. On the crowd pleaser, finishing it off with a little powder here at the bottom.
So it's getting experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties down here at the bottom. So we don't have our feed here to run you through the replay ourselves. Oh, feed is back. And here's a replay for Cheryl Moss in her debut here into Corbett's couloir.
Cheryl taking the opportunity to find some of that good snow, and she definitely found it on that jump, going back 7 tail grab, sitting it down a little bit. But again, it's all about the full run, and it is judged by her peers. So we have a judges panel of 23 people, all of whom are taking part in the competition today. All of our competitors, as DC said earlier in the show, are going to gather for a watch party. They're going to watch everybody's runs, and that's how, once they're all edited together, they're going to watch all the runs, and that's how they're going to decide when they vote on who the king and queen of Corbett will be for this year. And then we've also got the People's Choice going on this year, where after first runs are done, we'll give you guys all a QR code. You'll be able to scan that and vote for who your favorites are. Voting for that will be open until 5 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow, Friday. And we'll collect all those votes and make sure we get that ready for our awards party tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, so once again, Moran explaining why you're not seeing any standings right now. We won't see any standings today. The athletes are going to have the viewing party and vote tomorrow on who they think the king and queen of Corbett should be here in this 2022 5th edition of this event. Time to check in now with the third member of our team up at the top of the couloir, Andrew Whiteford. Andrew, what's going on up there, brother?
Well, I just had to creep over to the edge to peek my head over to appraise how high up I am before that first landing. I'm standing in the middle of the trench cut out using chainsaw, shovel, good old-fashioned physical labor. All these athletes are used to working with the elements, but certainly out here at the top of the mountain where you've got constant wind, constant snow, adapting to these conditions is forefront at the athlete's mind. And as they start thinking about their second run, how they're going to change that or adapt it, could be clean up the original run, could be go for something completely different. So as athletes are starting to congregate, and it's going to be first come, first serve for the second run, cool to see how those athletes are going at it. DC and Jeff, you guys are getting a lot of it from down low. Do you have any questions about what's happening up here as I poke around?
If there are any athletes back up there at the top getting ready to go for a second run, if any of them lining up?
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a handful of the athletes poking around and looking at different angles, including Juliette, who's up far skiers left, kind of up near where Tim first dropped in. She's looking at a direct line right off the top, which anybody that's been up here knows is a solid 50 feet of pretty much straight down before you can hook up your first turn. Everybody else is keeping their cards pretty close to their hands, their bodies. I think that while you've got this happy camaraderie up here, this is when athletes realize it is a competition, and we're psyched to send it for the highest level of points that they can accumulate from their friends out here. So coming into the second run, we're all psyched to see how it goes down. Let me put it back to you guys.
All right, Andrew. Andrew, thank you for all the feedback up there. It's good to have your eyes on the course and your perspective. And I think we're going to take it back to the run.
Yeah, a lot of great moments there from those first runs. And let's go ahead and take a look at the recap from some of those first runs out there. Shout out to all the athletes throwing down as we have seen everyone take their first runs. The Screaming Seaman in there from Sander. And then there's Hans Mindnich with definitely one of the cleanest runs we've seen. Corey Jackson living up to the hype that all his peers put on him out there and throwing down an amazing first of two runs. Piper's massive backflip at the end. Ryan Wachendorfer, who normally you see gracing the start sheet of professional half-pipe competitions, having a good go in his first time in the couloir. Parkin, Costain linking up an incredible combination of backflips. Lots of exciting action from the first round of runs.
There's Jake Hopfinger with a backflip to flat spin and then his double flat spin. Yuki's hand drag, side 3, and then Yuki's back 10. Those championship slopestyle skills definitely showing here today. Blake with the butter 360 off the nose. Carl with the left 3 coming into Corbett. Carl Fosfed, our reigning king here, hyping up the crowd. You can hear him cheering for him there. Cooper Branham with that back 3 into this Wildcat. And then Cooper finishing off strong with a smooth frontside 7.
Yeah, so cool. Again, shout out to all the athletes getting their first runs in, and we'll see who all takes that second of 2 runs if they choose to do so. But again, fans, we're going to allow you guys to let your voices be heard out here. So scan the QR code when it pops up and have a chance to have a vote for the fan favorite out here this year, something new.
All right, and you guys can follow along at jacksonhole.com. redbullsnow.com, and if you're hashtagging, if you're into that sort of thing, it's hashtag Kings and Queens of Corbett. I'll be honest, today I didn't know what we were in for. The conditions were a little bit different than this year than in past. We've had, I guess, sandier conditions in the past, but the wind and the little bit of snow we got the last couple days has definitely helped the course, and I feel like, to be honest, we're seeing a better show than I think I was ready for. I didn't know we were going to see such big tricks.
Absolutely. We knew it was going to be a different approach this year with not as soft of conditions as we've seen it in the past, but the athletes are not disappointing, putting on quite the show, thinking outside of the box, and interpreting this couloir beautifully. So again, the format out here, the way we determined the start order was the rider welcome party, where we had the lottery and they got to pick a ping pong ball to see their start order. Now for run 2, it's all up in the air as far as who's going to go next. They are going to give a priority to the athletes that dropped later in the start order. So if athletes that dropped later in the start order are up there and ready to go, they're going to go ahead and give them priority and allow them to drop earlier here on this second and final rounds of runs. And again, athletes don't even have to take that second run if they're feeling good about the way things went and they don't need anything that they feel the need to improve on. They can just hang out and enjoy the show from down here at the bottom or at the top, cheering on their comrades up there.
Yeah, I know.
And getting word that it sounds like it's going to be Madison Blackley, your defending queen out here, the only snowboarder to ever be crowned Queen of Corbet's. And Madison Blackley will be dropping in first. Looking to clean things up from her first run, seeing if she can get crowned Queen of Corbet's for a second year in a row. Originally out of Park City, Utah, now calling Salt Lake City home.
Marissa.
Competed on the slopestyle circuit for many years, was an accomplished, or is an accomplished filmer, filming a lot in the streets, the whole urban skateboard influence aspect of snowboarding, where you see the riders taking to the streets, hitting handrails, and really paying homage to the skateboarding roots of snowboarding. But now taking a whole different approach and really honing in her big mountain skills with events like this, the Kings and Queens of Corbet's. And Andrew Whiteford, who is at the top of the couloir, is who we're going to check in here with real quick. Andrew, how's it going up there as we get ready to get underway here with these second runs?
Thank you, DC. You know, I was just chatting with Madison as I was in that trench, asking about what conditions are like in the actual run. And she was saying that dropping in rider's left-hand side, while visually it looks smooth and awesome, that's where they're experiencing some of the more challenging and variable conditions, just in terms of the back and forth between soft and firm. I think that might be why we're seeing so many of the athletes going more riders right to link up those features. But it's hard not to go skiers left if you're going big off the top. Madison's loving the vibe out here today, and certainly while it is a serious place to be, the levity that is now being felt amongst everybody kind of shows that load being lessened after getting skis and boards on snow for that first run. Definitely stoked to see what gets put together on second run. And well, I mentioned it was Julia looking at a new entrance up top. Molly is definitely sussing out the far skiers left entrance up here, avoiding the goat path, but not off the west wall. Let me throw it back down.
Andrew, so we've got, I see Madison, we've got some of the other women there hiking back up to get a second run. Do you have any idea on how many of our competitors are back up there? Do you have an idea of how many second runs we might be looking at right now?
Yeah, get that angle dialed.
Looks like Madison is getting her GoPro dialed in.
Upon first run. Again, haven't heard exact numbers, but I would suspect from seeing everybody stern-faced up here, those smiles that they're having at the bottom of the course might lead them to enjoy a second take at the course.
And Andrew, how's the weather treating you up there still? You hanging in there?
For me right now, weather is fine. I spend enough time in the mountains to know that we got to layer up on a day like this, and it seriously has warmed up. I mean, it's a balmy 5 or 6 degrees now with light winds. So wind chill, brisk, but as long as you prepared for this day, and all these athletes, filmers, production, crew, people putting it on, they're stoked. Not too many people are making use of it, but we've actually got 2 tents up here for the athletes and everyone to stay warm in. We're just a couple turns away from Corbet's cabin up top. So I think it's allowing the athletes enough of the exposure to the elements to know what's going on, but the ability to hide from it and stay comfortable at the same time.
That guy who's braking, that's exactly
well, we've been pretty fortunate to have really good light on the course here today in 10 Sleep Bowl. There's a little bit of flurries moving in, but the sun is still poking through, and you can see some definition in Corbet's couloir. So it's not flat light right now. Getting a wave from Madison Blackley our reigning queen, our defending queen from 2021 Kings and Queens of Corbett. You know, we've seen the course in Corbett's improve and change and develop every year with more and different handmade features. I wonder if at some point we'll see rails introduced into the Kings and Queens course. I know, you know, many people have seen Kevin Jones's parts from back in the day. We're sliding rails off of cliffs. Like, maybe that's in the future of Corbett's. Maybe we'll see a rail to drop in. That would be pretty monumental.
Well, here you have your reigning queen, Madison Blackley, dropping in for her second of 2 runs. Looking to clean things up. Get some, Madison.
All right, Madison getting cheered on as she takes the goat path into Corbett. And like Andrew was just telling us about, that rider's right side of the couloir tending to have the better snow. We're seeing Madison kind of work her way through that fin of snow that has blown in. Coming across that indicator rock right there in the middle kind of gives you an idea of how much snow is in Corbett's couloir. Every year, Ski Patrol has to wait until there's about 50 to 70 inches of snow before they're able to even open up Corbett's. Madison coming off of the cheese wedge and catching some of that good snow in the landing. You can kind of tell now that after we've had a full field of 23 competitors come through Corbett's, the snow's what was great and fresh is now getting a little beat up. But Madison doing a great job to work her way through the course and now sizing up this final hit, AKA the crowd pleaser. And Madison Blackley going straight air. Getting a little bucked, but thumbs in the air, and the crowd is cheering her on here at the base of 10 Sleep Bowl. A lot of support. I think people really recognize and understand that this is no small feat. This is not easy. I think it can get easy for us to misunderstand that Corbett's might be really easy to ride because we're seeing people do incredible tricks. But the reality is this is one of the hardest runs in all of North America, if not the world, just to get down.
Well, big shout out, much respect to Madison Blackley. Again, your defending queen out here from her performance last year into this couloir as we're checking out the replay here from Madison. She had the good clean entry on the goat path. And not able to put down the clean landing gear on the final jump, but so much respect to Madison for being out here again and taking here to this couloir and putting on display some beautiful riding. All right, your next athlete that is going to be dropping in. Again, no particular order here for this next round of athletes, but getting word that it's going to be Molly Armanino getting ready to drop. And again, Molly coming out of South Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
Spends her time adventuring there in the Sierra Mountains. We're tackling giant couloirs. Is one of her favorite pastimes, so coming out here to a venue like this, Corbett's Couloir, is a very comfortable setting for her to be in. Of course, couloir is the French term for a narrow passage or hallway. In this case, narrow passage on a mountain face.
All right, here we go. Molly Armanino coming in. Looks like she's ducking the rope and coming over towards the west wall entrance. Scooting into the top of the goat path. Ooh, there we go, coming in super confidently. She had a very confident and solid first run.
Yeah, again, putting on display, showing you, exhibiting that she is comfortable skiing steep lines. Handled the exposure and the drop in, no problem. And a smooth air there, Moran.
Yeah, Molly even eking out every little drop, coming off that tiny little rock right there on her way into the crowd pleaser and going left side 3. Claiming it, she's hyped, see? Doesn't matter how you land, as long as you're pumped, the crowd is with you. So Molly going left side 3 off the end of the of her run there on the crowd pleaser booter. Unfortunately kicking a shoe, but she is still stoked. It's hard not to be. Again, as we've talked about, just the underlying vibe of the whole event is so fun for all of us, especially the competitors.
Well, we've seen 2 of our 23 athletes drop in for a second run. Madison followed by Molly. Still awaiting word on who will be dropping next. But really stoked to see conditions, you know, a little softer than what we were thinking they might have possibly been up there as we look at the replay for Molly and finding some of that good soft snow that got blown in here to the couloir.
Yeah, I think the secret's out. That rider's right of the couloir is where the good snow is. Catching the knuckle on that very, very firm landing of the crowd pleaser. The whole crowd pleaser booter actually was able to be built because there was a huge cornice up above that ski patrol when they were doing their avalanche control. A big cornice broke off and sent a ton of snow down through the couloir earlier in the season. So our park crew is able to take advantage of that.
All right, well, let's check in real quick again with the third member of our team, Andrew Whiteford. Andrew, how is it up there watching the athletes drop in from your perspective?
You know, I have to be honest, in most situations, I'm back like 20, 30 feet, so I just get to see them over the precipice, and then I'm gauging things on what I hear. And we can hear the cheers from the base all the way up top here, which is awesome to get that stoke high. You know, I saw Molly's middle run, where I saw a strong turn, straight air, got a little loose on that landing on the bottom air. Much in the same way, Marissa that's about to drop, she's coming in off the goat path. She said that she's a little sore after the first run, and I think that came from hanging up on the landing on that bottom air primarily, but definitely looking to just clean up what she had on her first run as opposed to change it up wildly in any different direction.
Well, appreciate the beta from up top, Andrew. And yeah, Marissa Krawczak here getting ready to drop in her third time competing here at the Kings and Queens of Corbett. Already has 1 run down. Second and final run here coming up from Marissa. You know, Slush Magazine had a really cool 2-page write-up article with Marissa. A lot of great Q&As there, so I highly encourage you to check that out for anyone out there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an endless amount of content out there if you want to jump on the socials and follow all of these athletes, many of them with super robust Instagram and other social profiles. So make sure you check them out, because if you like what you're seeing here, they're out there doing this day in and day out throughout the season, creating that content to keep all of us and all of you out there entertained.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got some really cool insight from Marissa and her career. And well, here she is, dropping in for her second of 2 runs.
All right, Marissa sizing up the goat path. There she is coming in. She's just below the nose, as Andrew was saying earlier. That's about a mandatory 50-foot drop just to get from the top of the nose until you're able to make your first turn. Marissa working her way down that tighter top part of the couloir, just above Indicator Rock right there, coming up and over it, and looks like she might be working her way over into that rider's right cheese wedge. That's been a pretty popular feature so far today. Oh, she's going past it. She knows where the good snow is, and now she's cut over into the end run, the run out of S&S couloir.
Oh, look at those turns.
Yeah. Again, that is the looker's left is where most of the snow has been accumulating. So her getting over there into the bottom of S&S couloir is definitely where there's some good snow. A little bit variable right before coming into the crowd pleaser, but here she is coming off the rider's right takeoff, going backside 3 and coming up a little bit short catching the knuckle, and then surfing it out. Marissa looking back up, kind of contemplating what just went down. Getting a hug from Jess McMillan, and then Allie Ziegler from our events department here at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort, two of the faces behind the scenes responsible for making this whole event run smoothly. And they're down there in the finish corral, congratulating all the riders as they come down.
Well, let's check in again with Andrew Whiteford up at the top. Andrew, what was your view there versus entrance? All right, well, Andrew, fortunately not able to hear our questions up there. Again, extreme elements out here, so a little break in the communication, but shout out to Marissa taking her second of 2 runs out here and coming back and competing yet another year here at Kings and Queens of Corbett. And what a beautiful crowd we got out here, Moran. I mean, love seeing everybody come on, cheering these athletes out here. Chilly day out here, and all these enthusiastic fans of skiing and snowboarding out here, bringing the good vibes.
Yeah, there are super good vibes, and I was saying earlier last night at the autograph signing, we had people who showed up. They came out to Jackson Hole specifically to be a part of and watch Kings and Queens of Corbett coming all the way from the East Coast of the U.S. And so we know whoever's out there hanging out with us here in Tent Sleep, if you've traveled from near or far, thanks for being with us, because this is such an iconic day here in Jackson Hole. We look forward to it every year. Again, the 5th anniversary of our Kings and Queens of Corbett event, a signature event here for Jackson Hole Mountain Resort. There's no other event like this in the world. This is one of a kind. It's very, very much rider driven. All of the competitors have a ton of say in how the event happens. They have a ton of input on what day the event is going to happen throughout the week's weather window. We watch very closely to see how the wind is affecting things, if there's snow coming in, you know, everything is considered. And yeah, so it's really cool to see how much input the riders have in how this event takes place.
And again, they don't get a chance, these athletes don't get a chance to test run, as we got a nice little bit of wind coming our way, but the athletes, they don't get a chance to test ride this couloir. So if it's their first time dropping in, I mean, they're dropping in blind, they have no idea what the conditions are like. I mean, no one has any idea what it's gonna feel like until they get in there. So the difficulty of what these riders are up against is, it's very impressive to see how they handle the elements.
Yeah. This is absolutely, it's not like this is a slopestyle or a pipe event where they get days of training before competing. This is like when everybody sees them roll up to the lip, that's the first time these riders are riding into the couloir for this event.
Andrew Whiteford up at the top. If you can hear us, what's your thoughts on this event and just what these athletes are up against? You know, again, not being able to test run the couloir. They got to test the jump out leading up to today's event, but not getting any test runs in the couloir, not knowing exactly how it's going to be riding, how those jumps constructed up in the couloir are going to be hitting even.
Well, DC, thank you. And, you know, as we've got Grant that'll probably be dropping next, I remember at his pre-event interview, talked about showing up with plans and plans and plans, but then you get to the lip and all those plans go out the window. The reality is that with the limited enhanced features that the Parkin pipe crew in coordination with the athletes has put together, this route has been in the making for hundreds of millions of years. Now, the Tetons, while they're the youngest of the Rocky Mountains, they're still about 5 to 10 million years old. These things have been lifting up from an ancient seabed, growing about 1 millimeter a year, but truly it's not linear in the growth. It progresses dramatically with these big earthquakes along the base of the mountains every once in a while. And as that's been going on, it's created Corbetts. Last 10,000 years, glaciers in it, carving it out. But this is also why we've got such unique rock formations up here. The water has eroded away some of the rock, creating some of these really unique features. I didn't have eyes on it, but hearing that Tim Durtschi went into Corbet's cave with a nice 360 out, I love seeing ways that athletes are utilizing what's out here in really unique manners. We went from decades of hot doggers, really starting off with Lonnie Ball skiing into this in '67, but a couple decades of hot dogging where people barely scratched into this thing when the conditions were good, pump and pow. But now that Kings and Queens of Corbett has come about, the last few years have been one of these tectonic shakeups in terms of the progression of what athletes are doing. You know, I don't think any athlete, skier, snowboarder, would normally come up to this lip, this nose of Corbet's and think, yeah, I want to throw a double or something massive into there. But that's just what a lot of the athletes end up doing these years. Grant had a nice first run with a bit of variety, and he's dropping now. So we're psyched to see Grant's second run. Back to you, boys, down below.
Thank you very much, Andrew, with the expertise and quite the history lesson up there. Grant Giller now from Evergreen, Colorado, dropping in for his second of two.
And Grant going backside 3 off of the nose, off the side of the nose. Regular footed rider able to come in on his toes. I know he seemed not super pumped on his first run, so he's trying to get some redemption here for his second one. Hitting that right side cheese wedge and then over that rock face right in the middle of the couloir. Grant Giller coming into the crowd pleaser, final hit of the course. Going backside 7, nose grab, and his slope style skills on display there. He had said that in his interview, that slope style background was probably going to play a big part for him and other riders, and we definitely just saw that. There you go, he's hyped. He definitely feeling better about this second run. That was not the reaction he had on his first run. He was a little down on that one, so got some redemption for Grant Giller up there in Corbett's couloir.
Well, good to see Grant Giller get back up on the horse and get up there and take to this couloir again. Trying to execute his own tectonic shift and the way he approached the couloir the first time into the second time here as we look at the replay.
Smooth backside 7. There we go, he's hyped. The board toss, arms in the air. I mean, honestly, it's like if you put down a good run, you're stoked and the crowd's stoked, but even if you put down a run that was challenging, you didn't stay on your feet, like everybody down here is so excited for you just for putting on the show. I think everybody, hopefully at home, and I know everybody here in 10 Sleep Bowl is just appreciative of what all of these athletes are doing. There seems to be a true understanding of how difficult it is to just simply ride from the top to the bottom of Corbett's, never mind try and put tricks all the way down. And people are definitely letting the athletes know that they're stoked on what they saw. Grant exiting through the Nature Valley tent. Pick up some snacks on his way out. Everybody loves snacks.
Well, let's check in again with Andrew Whiteford at the top. Andrew, how did that run look from what you could see up top of the coulee?
Thank you, DC. That was sick watching Grant rip that second run. Can understand how he burned a few calories and needed a few snacks on the way. But I'm a little surprised as I look around up here. I don't see as many athletes for the second run as I might have thought of. And Jeff, you know, I'm wondering what do you think is getting into the athletes' heads regarding whether they take a second run or not?
You know, Andrew, that's a great question. I think it could go two ways, one of two ways, right? Like if someone put down a really great run, they might be hyped and want to try and improve upon it. Or, you know, you have people who didn't stay on their feet on their first run and they kind of are relegated to having to take a second run if they really want to try and get on that podium. So I think there's a couple different strategies there. You know, and you might have someone who just, whether they had a good run or a bad run the first time, they might be like, you know what, I'm over it. I just want to chill with my homies and grab a Red Bull and some Nature Valley snacks and hang out and congratulate people. So I think there's a few different strategies, but I know from my perspective, from our perspective, I'm sure everybody at home, and I know everyone here in the Intensely Bowl, we would love to see everybody take a second run. We love what's going on, and I'm very appreciative of what all of these professional athletes are doing here today to put on a show for us.
Yeah.
So Andrew, while you're up there, I'm wondering, you know, we keep seeing these really incredible drone shots of all the crowd that's up there at the top of Corbett's, and that's not, we know that's not just general public viewing. Will you tell us a little bit about who all those people are up at the top of Corbett's and what's going on up there?
Absolutely, Jeff. You know, as I hang out up here, I'm talking over the buzz of drones. Obviously, we've got media, right? We've got camera people set up all over the top of Corbett's, perched and roped in at the edges of the cliffs up above, drones in flight, providing these incredible aerials. We've also got a fair number of patrol. Obviously, this is a gnarly place, and our athletes are doing super gnarly things, and we want to be able to maintain the best coverage in terms of safety that we possibly can. Athletes are showing great decision making, and I'm pausing here as I think we have a 2-2 to Audrey dropping in for you. So let me send it back to you guys for Audrey's 2-2 run.
Yeah, Audrey Hebert here dropping in, and does look like she's wearing a tutu. Thought I saw something on her Instagram profile where she was wearing similar attire. So you guys can definitely check out Audrey when you're getting social out there.
There you go, Audrey opening up a
backstory.
new line. We have not seen someone take that higher line over into the bottom of S&S. At first, I thought she had her jacket tied around her waist. I'm glad Andrew let us know that was a tutu. Appreciate that. She's looking good because style counts, not only when you're in the air, but when you're riding down, and that is not lost on Audrey Hebert. And Audrey coming off the right side of the crowd pleaser jump, a little bit slow and getting bucked on the knuck, but that's all right. 2-2 kept her safe, and she's looking good coming into the finish.
Well, again, I saw something on her Insta where she was wearing similar attire. So yeah, everyone, if you're out there getting social, give Audrey Hebert a follow, look more into her attire there, and also don't forget to get social with us here and follow at Red Bull Snow, at Jackson Hole, and include that hashtag Kings and Queens of Corbet's.
Now we can actually see that's not even a tutu. It's an actual full-on purple prom dress. Good on ya, Audrey. And there she is. Unfortunately, coming up a little short on the crowd pleaser. That final big kicker here, Intensely Bowl at the bottom of Corbett's couloir. I think she's hanging out there with Mr. Max Martin.
Yeah, shout out Max Martin.
Max Martin, yeah.
Competing again here this year.
Born and bred here in Jackson Hole. He was on the original roster for Kings and Queens this year, but unfortunately had a shoulder injury just days before the event was about to open up, so he had to pull out. But yeah, Max Martin, coming from a heavy alpine ski racing background, and now in these last few years has been transitioning that into backcountry skiing and filming. He and his brother Wheeze, good buddies, both alumni of the Jackson Hole Ski and Snowboard Club. I love seeing that we have so many of our former athletes having come up through the ranks and now, you know, sticking around, still around here in Jackson Hole, and really turning their early years of training into these great professional ski and snowboard careers.
All right, well, we're seeing Audrey Hebert, got second place last year, take her second run. Waiting for word to see who our next athlete might be at the top to take their second run as well. And conditions out here, Jeff, starting to blow in a little bit more right now as we're in a bit of a snow squall down here at the base of the couloir here in Intensely Bowl.
Yeah, it's blue skies over there and snowing over there, and seems to be blowing through all around us. I'm told if you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes and might be something different, so we'll see what happens. I think, you know, from the riders' perspectives, I'm sure a lot of people are stoked that they were able to get their first runs done. Well, we had really good visibility and didn't have as much wind or snow, but like you said, DC, it is picking up a little bit here. We can see those sweet protection wind blades up by the crowd pleaser booter. Those are honking a little bit right now, but going into these second runs, riders don't have to take a second run, as we've mentioned, so we might have a smaller field, so that gives all of our riders a minute or two extra to sit it out and wait, because as we've mentioned, this is a very rider-driven, rider-first event, and they don't have to drop when someone says go. They've got a minute or so to really feel it out and wait for weather to shift, wait for light to come in, and make sure that it's as safe as possible experience as they come down Corbet's.
Yeah, they'll be determining amongst themselves who's going to drop next. There is no specific start order for the second runs as well. Priority, once again, going to those that dropped later in the start order from those first runs, but the athletes themselves will just discuss it amongst themselves and come to agreement as far as who's going to drop next. It looks like Corey Jackson from Jackson is going to drop in. And, you know, that's something that Jess McMillan was stressing to the athletes in the athlete meeting last night, is like, I want you guys to have fun with this and treat this like you're just out filming with your friends and figure out amongst yourselves as far as who's going to be dropping next and just have fun with it. So again, to reiterate, it's a rider-focused and a rider-driven event out here, and you got to love that approach.
Yeah, I mean, as Jess has said at the welcoming night at the seating party, you know, really the big underlying theme of Kings and Queens of Corbett is for the riders to have a good time and for them to come and be able to showcase, you know, the skills that they've been developing for many decades here in Corbett's couloir. And so, you know, again, hats off to Jess McMillan and everyone here at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort for designing and creating such a unique and creative signature event. And I'm hyped to see Corey Jackson's next run, but I don't think I'm as hyped as him, because like he may quite possibly be the most stoked dude here at Corbett's couloir today. And there he goes, waving to the drone.
Nice. A little extra bonus points at the top. Here we go, Corey Jackson with the switch 180 in.
All right, Corey going left 3 off the indicator and right quickly into a backflip, going huge.
He's running out of it.
He's so stoked.
He's okay.
He's okay. We got the helmet tap. The crowd is pumped. Again, that is perfect Corey Jackson style. Both of his skis are about 50 or so feet up the hill. He just tumbled down about a double or triple tomahawk. We'll have to see the replay. And he is just super excited. So hopefully, I think he's okay. We've got one of our course ninjas coming down to grab his skis for him. And go and switch one in. 360, and then there's that big backflip, and he just had a hard time staying on his feet and shutting it down.
But check the run out from, I don't know if I've ever seen like a double ejection like that and someone run out just so confidently. I mean, it's like he was on a trail run out there in his ski boots.
I think he would have just kept running down through the end of Corbett's. But he kind of realized he had to get his skis. But again, we've got our course ninja there picking up his pieces.
Well, let's check in again with Andrew up at the top. Andrew, did you get a good view of that from up there?
Man, that drop in was so sick. A switch 180 for skiers is a very blind move, obviously, and Corey's just making it look super smooth because he's done 1,000 of these. All of these athletes are relatively young, but definitely their mountain maturity is showing their time out here. But also Corey, as strong as he is, with great style, great tricks, you go a little too big off one air, and in that run out, you find the variability of the snow and coming a little unstuck. We love sharing in that energy, even when an athlete goes down. And coming back to this athlete judged element of this comp, I mean, all these skiers and riders are in the same understanding of how tough conditions are today. And so I think they are the best ones to fully appreciate what each athlete is doing, and that overall impression, I think, is certainly something that maybe a prom dress can help pull off, or maybe technical tricks. It's up for them to decide who's going to take it this year. So let me put it back into your hands, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and a big shout out, Corey Jackson. Thanks for being out here and adding so much to this event. And definitely love what Corey Jackson brings to the table, representing the local Jackson community. Back to the top, sounds like Cheryl Moss is getting ready to drop in for her second of 2 events as the Corey chant goes on in the background here in 10 Sleep Bowl. Getting the energy from the crowd out here. Absolutely love it. So Cheryl Moss getting ready to drop in, 3-time slopestyle world champion, X Games Big Air gold medalist, 3-time Olympian, and now taking those freestyle skills out to the big mountains. Dropping in for the second of 2 runs, originally from the Netherlands. Here she is, Cheryl Moss on course.
Cheryl Moss, regular footed rider, coming in the goat path. Yeah, she's now over in Boise, Idaho, not too far from us here. Definitely got some weather up there in Corbett. It's wild, as Andrew said earlier. He's only, what, 600 feet or so maybe above us, and the weather can be quite different. We got eyes on Cheryl though. There she is on the rider's right side of the course, coming into that cheese wedge kicker. Visibility definitely playing a part in her role. There we go, frontside grab and catching some good snow, staying on her feet. You know, I think where Cheryl's really going to shine is on the crowd pleaser here at the bottom, like we saw last time with her very smooth backside 7. All right, Cheryl Moss coming into the crowd pleaser. There we go, backside 7 tail grab, proper tail. Looks like she's a little frustrated with the landing, but she's hyped. The crowd is definitely stoked to see that. With a very storied slopestyle competitive background for Cheryl, it's always so cool to see the like hyper competitive like slopestyle and pipe riders transition into events like this and take their skills to the big mountain. And you know, I say events like this, it's not like there's multiple events like this. This is the one and only Kings and Queens of Corbett, but it is very cool to see how they take what they've been developing over the last couple decades and then apply it to this super unique competition course here at Corbett's Couloir.
Yeah, and you see a little bit of frustration on the replay there from Cheryl, that back 7 on the crowd pleaser here at the bottom, just narrowly escaping, the clean landing just narrowly escaping, but good to see her just enjoying being out here and feeding off the energy of the crowd down here, playing to the crowd, and the crowd giving her the reaction that she was looking for, and standing ovation.
Absolutely, with her bright blue hair, I love it.
All right, well, our next athlete, I'm getting word from the top that we'll be dropping in. Another rookie out here, Juliette Willmann, her first time competing here at the Kings and Queens of Corbett. From Chamonix to Jackson Hole Mountain Resort, originally out of Barcelona.
Juliette, another one of our competitors with a very ski-centric and alpine racing background. I know her bio was saying that both of her parents are ski coaches and ski instructors. Her sister also a high-level alpine racer, and she herself even with some elite level alpine racing in her background, racing up at the FIS level. Now, as with many, transitioning into this more unique freeride type event here at Kings and Queens of Corbett.
Runs in the family and a clean entry there into the couloir.
Yeah, just attacking Corbett so confidently, staying on her feet. Look at the heat she's bringing in. A lot of competitors coming through that zone pretty slow. Not for Juliette. She just hauled through there and then handling this bottom booter, the crowd pleaser, with no problem, staying on her feet. And there we go, another perfect example of the camaraderie and just the love and the support that there is between all of our competitors here. You can't make that up. Yeah, we just had the crowd break out into cheer over Corey Jackson. And here again is Juliette with a really solid run, staying on her feet the whole way. And yeah, her big mountain skills definitely on display there, especially just with the way that she skied so confidently and strongly through that lower part of Corbet's, coming into the crowd pleaser with so much heat.
Well done. A good first showing for Juliette. Again, first time competing here in this event. And a great showing indeed. So we wait word to hear who our next athlete is going to be, and looks like Piper Kunst up there in the start. After an extremely impressive first run ever here in Corbet's, with the exclamation point being the massive backflip here on the crowd pleaser booter at the bottom. Landed at the bottom of the landing, right where the snow starts to fill in. Just stomped the heck out of it, and so impressed. Can't wait to see what she's got for us this time.
Yeah, if you want a PAL landing on the crowd pleaser, you got to take it real deep.
So Piper, so I was saying earlier in the broadcast, originally hailing out of Park County, Colorado, just outside of the small mountain hamlet of Alma, at just over 10,000 feet elevation. Moved to Salt Lake City to go to school at the University of Utah. And Alta, her new home mountain, is where she's been honing her skills, and you really saw just those skills and what it takes to attack that mountain at play here in Corbet's.
Yeah, coming into this, you know, Piper, as with many of our competitors, have talked about how competing in Corbet's is a way for them to really blossom their career, and I think she's doing that. We're watching it unfold right in front of our eyes. That backflip set the stage earlier, and then just right there we saw her take that really unique hard skier's right line over into the bottom of S&S, and then Piper Kunst coming into the crowd pleaser to finish off her second run with a nice slow left side 360 and riding away clean, mixing those big mountain skills with some slope style tricks. Piper Kunst, yeah, the crowd's hyped on her.
I mean, she's made quite the statement, and definitely a very respectable, just throwing in her name into the hat to be crowned out here as Queen of Corbet's this year in the 2022 edition.
I'd say you are spot on, DC. Piper, she wants it.
Both runs were clean top to bottom. Had the huge backflip as the exclamation point on her first run, and then showing the variety there, showing you she can not only go inverted, but spins nice and clean as well with the smooth 360.
Yeah,
Piper.
very impressed with Piper's 2 runs. Yeah, I think she's a contender for the podium for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Andrew Whiteford up at the top. What's your thoughts on Piper skiing out here today?
Boy, for a freshman in the competition, she really shredded it. What I could see from the top, great entrance, and I love that middle air. When she went far, skiers right, that's a totally blind takeoff from us. Obviously, with the flat light, our eyes are drawn to either monochrome or rock. And so when you're up above it, and all these takeoffs are covered in snow, you have even less rock to see. So really impressive to see how she puts down a full run in challenging visibility. We're starting to see Yuki up above in the start, and so we might have another minute before he drops in. But let me ask you guys, how are things holding up on that bottom air? A lot of athletes are focused on that, and obviously the crowd. How's that working for the athletes?
You know, the crowd pleaser is doing its job. The athletes are whether they have a tough, challenging run through the upper part of Corbett's or if they grease it, the crowd pleaser is definitely where a lot of people are shining. We are seeing the slopestyle backgrounds for sure come into play, as with, you know, Yuki right here, Yuki Kadono, our next rider coming in to take his second run with a heavy slopestyle background, multi-time U.S. Open slopestyle champion, and we saw him put down that 1080 on his first run. So yeah, it is such a fun and unique blend of big mountain freestyle and then just straight up slopestyle riding.
Looks like Yuki's about to drop.
Oh yeah, Yuki Kadono up in the start, originally out of Japan, moved over to the States full-time a couple years ago, was residing out in out at Big Bear Mountain, California, in Southern California, and was like, no, I want to be in some bigger mountains. Moved out here to Jackson this year, bought a truck, using Travis Rice's snowmobile right now.
Nice.
Kicking it at Cam Fitzpatrick's parents' house.
Yeah, Mike and Lee Fitzpatrick, two amazing human beings. They're chilling down in Baja, so Yuki gets to take their place over.
The caretaker.
That's a good hookup to have. It's not easy to find a place to live in Jackson, so congratulations, Yuki. That might be your biggest feat of the winter, is finding a place to live here.
Nice little nose butter 3 out of the start. Here we go, Yuki Kadono. He always stoked Yuki with that back 360 hand drag off the top, dragging the hand on that nose.
Yuki slashing by the indicator rock, coming into the lower S and S couloir with a nice laid out slow big heel side turn. And here's where Yuki is going to shine on the crowd pleaser.
Oh! Stomping the back 10. Backside 1080 off access a couple times in that rotation, it looked like as well.
Couple times for sure. Yuki Kadono, I mean, honestly, starting off and finishing off his run with two of the strongest tricks of the day. Hard to beat that. Wow, that hand drag in is just, like, you know, it really kind of picks up where he left off last year with the creativity. Last year is switchback 1 in, and this year with that beautiful backside 3 hand drag, and he's pumped on it, coming in, hands in the air. And the crowd here was pumped too. It was easy to tell that they were behind Yuki on that run for sure.
And so much great style put on display there by Yuki Kadono. Again, such an accomplished competitive snowboarder on the slopestyle scene out there, and now bringing those skills out to the big mountains. I can't wait to see what he's got for us. Really focused on filming this year. Big shout out to his filmer Gabe, who's out here with him.
Yeah, Yuki was saying the other night, like, he's got these really elite level accomplishments on his resume, and now he's really focused on filming just a stellar backcountry part, and a big part of why he's spending some time here in Jackson Hole.
Wow, absolutely insane. Well, Andrew, up at the top, I mean, we're loving what we're seeing from down here. How's that backside 360 hand drag off the top look for, from your perspective up there, from your vantage?
Man, what a graceful way to go out of view from my perspective, because I'm just like 25 feet back from the edge, and so watching Yuki come in, smile on his face, drop out of view, just, I'm at a loss for words to describe physically how smooth it looked from up here. But it's also awesome to see that the landing went well, middle of the run went sick, and they put it together at the end. I have to say, we went through a little period of time where there weren't too many athletes up here, and all of a sudden I started wondering about second run. But with everybody back up, Cooper's in the start, Yuki's thrown down, that energy is ramped back up, and people are just ready to shred through the second run.
I love it. It's like a waterfall effect, you know? It's like somebody throws down, it just hypes everybody else up, elevates everybody else's spirits, and now everybody's like, oh, I want to throw down another run. Cooper Brand, I'm getting ready to drop in. Coop Brand.
Yeah, that was another, you know, common comment from all of the athletes in their interviews, was that they get hyped on seeing what other people do and inspired by the other runs that they see, and that energy is infectious. When you see someone put down a good run, how could you not want to be part of that? Coop going with that front side 3 off of his toe edge. Backside 3. See if he does another wildcat here. He does. Having a little trouble on the landing. Starting off very similar run to what he did on his first run. Again, this is Cooper Branham out of Gig Harbor, Washington. Now residing in Jackson Hole, Wyoming for his winners. Well, I get a feeling that that's not what he was planning on doing on the last jump. Oh, his goggles were completely full of snow. Cooper's definitely got a pretty serious bag of tricks. I thought we'd see something different from him off this final jump, but as we just saw, his goggles, he couldn't see. So I'm impressed that he hit the jump at all.
Well, in the words of Johnny Utah from Point Break, vision is highly overrated, but not in this case here, and you need to be able to see to hit the jump, do the tricks that you want to do. So Coop, unfortunately, with the goggle lens full of snow, not able to throw down how he wanted to at the end, but still an impressive show up here. Love watching this guy ride.
Yeah, he's super fun. And again, go check out Coop and Cam Fitzpatrick and their homies and their new release Block Party from the This Is Us In film crew, because Cooper's part in particular is just heavy and so stylish. He's got this really unique corked front side 7. We saw it last year off of the nose when he came in his run into Corbet's. And anyways, yeah, Cooper, just such a great kid. And another one of our competitors who has just like an insane bag of tricks on a skateboard. I'm always like, I got a special spot in my heart for people who are good at skateboarding, or who skateboard in general. But this kid in particular is he's pretty talented skateboarder.
Well, it sounds like Hans Mindnich is our next athlete up at the top in the start, getting ready to go. And after that epic first run, I mean, he's got a huge bag of tricks, Moran, but what do you improve from that first run? I mean, he was so dialed on that first run. Top to bottom was so clean. Really aesthetically pleasing seeing him getting chased by his slough as well, coming off that back 3 right here.
Yeah, front 3 and back 3. And as a goofy-footed rider coming off of that, the nose coming off the sideways entry on his heel edge, I mean, that's high consequence. There's not as much grip on your heel edge with something like that. So I don't know. I mean, Hans Mindnich, as we've seen over the last 5 years, he's competed in 3 of the last 4 of the last 5. My math's a little off. But if nothing else, he's one of the most creative riders we see year after year. And if you follow Hans at all on social media, if you've seen any of his video parts, he's got like an incredibly deep and creative bag of tricks.
Well, let's check in again with Andrew up at the top. Andrew, have you had a chance to talk to Hans? Like, what would he be doing different in his run, or your thoughts, predictions on what he would maybe do different to try to up the ante here to get crowned as the 2022 King of Corbet's?
It's that Hans is in to now he's been diverse skill sets, so psyched to see it. Ready to drop for run 2. Huge diverse skill set for Hans. Ready to see him drop in for run number 2.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Andrew, I'm not sure if you heard us up there. Did you get a chance to talk to Hans at all about what he has in mind for run 2?
DC, you got me here. I have not, unfortunately, spoken to Hans directly about his plans for run 2. We just know that he's got such a big bag of tricks. Really, it's anybody's guess. And a quick reminder that Hans is probably in the running for many people's minds for People's Choice. We can vote on that through 5 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow. So definitely search out those QR codes, make your voice heard, and share your love with the athletes for the People's Choice Award.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I want to share my love for Andrew holding it down up at the top in the elements, and much respect to him and bringing his local knowledge out here to the broadcast this year. So Hans getting ready to drop in. Jeff, I don't know. I mean, you know, we saw a few threes in that run. That's one thing I could think of. He could switch up if he wants to make more of a statement out here, is maybe some bigger tricks. But gosh, the execution was so beautiful on that first run.
Yeah, DC, I totally agree. Hans is coming into his second run in a pretty good spot, having put down that stomped and unique, fun first run. You know, I think it wouldn't hurt him to do a 7. If he could put a back 7, a front 7 in the middle of that run, that's definitely going to up his chances of ending up on the podium again. He's got 2 second-place finishes in the past, and he's coming in switch right now. Looks like he turned back around, went front side 3, landed it, stomped, riding away clean, managing that speed. Now he's taking a new line different from his first run, airing off that rock that separates Corbet's couloir from S&S.
Some switch powder turns for you.
I was just gonna say, switch powder turns, that in itself is a trick. And
back dub 1080. Whoa! Backside 1080, 3 times around, off access a couple times, whilst spinning 3 times around. There you go, Hans Mindnich maybe heard us at the top. It's like, yeah, I'll throw some bigger tricks in there for you. But wow, talk about the showing out here today from Hans Mindnich. 2 epic runs there.
Yeah. Hans definitely not settling on his first run. He knew he had a good one that he put down, but coming in, took a different line, did different tricks. To be honest, like, yeah, the back double 10 is awesome, but let's talk about those switch pow turns. Like, it's not like the pow up there is consistent and it's just deep everywhere. It's super variable depending on where you go, and to make those pow turns look that good while riding switch, in my opinion, is, you know, I hope that the other riders understand that he's riding switch when he did those pow turns and they're judging, because I don't know, DC, that's a contender.
I mean, it's, again, peer judged, athlete judged event. All those athletes, they know how difficult that is, doing some switch pow turns. And to make him, that looked like that was his natural stance. For a second there, I was like, wait, Hans is not a regular footer, he's a goofy footer.
Yeah.
That right foot forward naturally. So to see him doing those switch turns was amazing, but oh, what a great run. Andrew Whiteford, what's the vibe up there right now? Did you get a good reaction, or did everybody have a good reaction to Hans's run there? What was it like?
You know, people are stoked. I must admit, probably a few of the athletes are a little concerned with the quality of runs going down. You know, keeping the back of the mind on this being a competition. But definitely seeing stomp tricks, seeing people meet these challenges gets everyone super stoked for this next run. I mean, hands down, this is a gnarly place to be. And while these athletes have the background that get them the invite here, this is still stressful stuff. So to be able to share in that, to gain energy from everybody else, definitely leaves all the athletes feeling stoked. And a carrier of that stoke is certainly our 2-time winner here at the comp, Carl Fosfet, Crazy Carl, coming to us from a couple hours away over in Idaho, Sun Valley. He's showing that he's got the chops to put down big stuff. And as he preps in the gate to drop in, we know that he's got big spins as well as super steezy slow stuff. So I had the opportunity to give him a fist bump. I just wanted to share in the moment. And now we're all holding on with bated breath to see what Carl puts down for second run. He's coming, swinging hard.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Okay, Brap Ski represent. Carl doesn't have a snowmobile up there to get the Brap in, but definitely gonna tear it up here on the second of 2 run on his skis. The only 2-time king of Corbet's from the first year and last year's defending king.
He's been here all 5 years, bringing that infectious, positive energy to the event. Not only does he put on a show, but he just brings everybody up with him. It's got to be a big part of why he keeps getting invited back. And, you know, I'm really excited the conditions here are changing a little bit in Corbett's. Up here in 10 Sleep Bowl, we've got some snow, we've got a little bit of wind. The visibility is still pretty good, and I'm pretty excited to see that our competitors are not backing away. They're still putting down big runs, and I think we're going to see a lot out of Carl right now.
There he is. Look like left 3 tail in for Carl Fosfet.
There we go, Carl with his very slow and relaxed backflip. And then here we go, coming into the crowd pleaser.
And Carl going down, unfortunately, there on the crowd pleaser, but still the crowd is definitely pleased indeed. Are you not entertained? Indeed they are. Crazy Carl taking the bow out there. Well-deserved love from all the fans out here in 10 Sleep Bowl.
A true professional going for that left side 12. Just coming up a little bit short. Here we go, replay. So left 3 for Carl, staying on his feet. And then just not getting the 12 all the way around.
A shout out, much respect to Carl again. Big shout out to his mom who is out here in Jackson cheering her son on. Mama Foss in the house, and you gotta love it. Ambassador Stoke, and getting the love right back from everyone is rightfully deserved.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you, Crazy Carl, for all that you do.
Crazy Carl, I mean, he does not have anything to prove. He's been on the top of the podium more than anyone. And yeah, he's still coming out, and he is not holding back like we were just talking about. All right, we're second runs. The conditions have changed a little bit. The course is a little bit more beat up than obviously it was in the first runs, and we're seeing rider and skier after one another, just putting down even heavier runs than their first time.
Well, getting word that Blake Wilson, rookie out here for Kings and Queens of Corbett, is going to be our next athlete to drop. And as he hikes up to the top of the arch up there and gets ready, let's take a look back, see what Blake had for us on his first run. He's had that little left nose butter 3 in. Little 2-stager here for Blake Wilson, and had a really solid first run. Really was impressed with what Blake brought to the table.
That butter in was, I think, one of the most high consequence tricks we've seen yet. We've seen people come in switch, but to actually do a 180 and then butter off that really short and off axis pad, I was super impressed with that.
Yep. Great slope style skills. And checking in with Andrew up at the top. Andrew, what are your thoughts up there on Blake Wilson here for his second of 2 runs? Anything you think he could improve on there?
You know, first I want to just echo what Jeff just said about the technicality of that drop in off the top. Little buttery 180 to immediately switch 180 off the nose there. That is super tech. And first run, that got everyone up here along the lip hyped. So understanding that that was a strong move for first run, I think that Blake's going to be looking to up the technicality of those tricks lower down and mid slope. We're definitely seeing a limit to what athletes are willing to throw in off the top. So, you know, Jeff, do you see any options for the athletes that they're missing out on in the middle of the run before we're getting to the bottom?
I mean, not really. That's so hard to say because it's been so entertaining down here. To say that someone's missing out on something there in the middle, it's been a complete package as far as I'm concerned, what these athletes are bringing to the table. Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, you know, I think we haven't seen anyone butter the rock ride in the middle of Corbett's, which I don't know if we're actually going to see that, but there's an option right there. Someone wanted to butter that open-faced rock, and Blake again going for that 180 butter, front flip, staying on his feet.
Into the massive backflip.
Oh! Blake coming to Jackson to put on a show.
Was he going 14 there? And the tap on the helmet to let you know he's okay. We'll let Blake take some time here, giving the thumbs up. And it looked like a 1440 attempt, 4 times around there.
I think you're right.
For Blake Wilson, bringing those slope style skills here to Big Mountain Shredding, showing you why he films with some of the best. Again, Faction Skis, their film this year, Roots, is where you can see some of Blake's filming just expertise. And yeah, big shout out to, he filmed with Alex Hall in that movie. Alex Hall, fresh off the gold medal over in Beijing for slopestyle. Congrats to Alex Hall. I know he wanted to be here this year. And another athlete that was a crossover athlete we had last year, Aaron Blunk, who just qualified last night for finals in halfpipe over in Beijing. So good luck to you, Aaron Blunk, as well. You and Alex Hall, we miss having you guys here this year. But yeah, talking about how Blake, just one of those guys that brings those park skills out here to the big mountains. And yeah, going for the 14, left 14 4 times around there. That would have been history. Never seen a 1440 go down.
No, I don't think
anywhere near Corbett's couloir.
Yeah, 1440 and Corbett's haven't been uttered in the same statement yet that I know of. So Blake Wilson, let's talk about that run. That was wild. It was super unique. It was super creative. It was high risk. It was technical. He definitely, you know, had a hard time on the landing. I don't know if he'll get as much credit from his peers for throwing a 14 when he didn't land it, but the rest of his run was just incredible. He had that butter off the top, like we were just talking about, super high risk, blind and technical. He put the front flip, he did a back flip, he skied the rest of the couloir, high speed, and handled the variable terrain, and then went for the biggest spin that we've seen yet in all of Corbett's history. I think Blake kind of wants it.
He was hungry for the crown, so respect, shout out. Way to go, Blake. Much props. All right, next athlete getting ready to drop in. Tim Durtschi getting ready to take his second run here into the couloir.
Man, I wonder what's going through Tim's head, right? Like, we just had Hans, Carl, and Blake put down 3 of the heaviest runs we've seen all day. So I wonder if that's playing into Tim's strategy and line choice. Coming in through the goat path, Tim Durtschi, TGR athlete. There we go.
Yes.
That's a unique line, going left 3 out of the Coombs Cave and then cutting all the way cross court over into the confluence of S&S couloir with Corbett's couloir. And Tim Durtschi coming into the crowd pleaser here at the bottom, going left double 10 and coming up a little bit short, catching the knuckle, but he's all right. He's up.
Well, good to see Dirt back to his feet. And you hear the love from the crowd out there. Tim Durtschi, originally out of Anchorage, Alaska, Alyeska, his home mountain, his stomping grounds, but now calling Jackson home, where the people, they know him, they love him.
And a shout out to Corey Jackson, who, like, every single, you know, every time one of his homies, one of his fellow competitors maybe kicks a shoe or goes down, like, Corey's the first one running out to see if they're okay, help them pick up the pieces. Yeah, I think he's the people's champ here today. Yeah, I don't know, we'll see how it works out.
He's getting some of those QR code fan favorite votes indeed. And what an accomplished athlete Tim Durtschi is. Again, filming with TGR, just putting out some amazing clips with just one of the best film crews in the biz.
Tim's been in the game for a long time. He's getting checked out by ski patrol. Hopefully he's okay, but definitely that knuckle of the crowd pleaser is a hard hit.
And we do have the best medical staff on hand, so shout out to the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort Patrol for being on hand. Much respect to you guys. Next to drop, Jake Hopfinger making history, the first person to ever do a double backflip into Corbet's. That was back in 2020. Last year, 2021 edition, he went for the dub flat spin, a trick that we saw him use on the crowd pleaser booter here at the bottom on his first run out here this morning. So what is Jake gonna have for us here on his second and final run here into Corbet's? Definitely a solid candidate to wear the crown as the king of Corbet's. Had the 360 entrance in, very smooth 3 into the couloir on his first run. Here he is dropping in, Jake Hopfinger. Again with the smooth left 3, right up against the west wall, finding that good steep transition.
Jake, one of the few, if only, to send it straight off the nose without using that cut on the cornice. And handling that, landing no problem, having a little problem here on the bottom jump, the crowd pleaser. But Jake Hopfinger with a solid run. No major falls. Little bobble here and there. I think he was trying to do that, you know, set up the back-to-back hits up there, the similar line that he had earlier with the cross court. Had trouble though lining up the second part of that line, and that rider's right cheese wedge, and it looked like he instead just cut over to S&S. So here he is with that huge drop, left 3, backflip. And there's where he had a tough time, wasn't able to stay on his line and get that second jump.
Well, it's definitely a pleasure having Jake back here, competing here at Kings and Queens of Corbet's. Originally from the East Coast, Bozeman, Montana is where he calls home now.
Yeah, spends the majority of his time filming in the backcountry. It's his focus these days. And you know, another competitor here at Kings and Queens of Corbet's who this event itself has helped propel Jake's career. You know, like Jake making history here at Corbet's 2 years ago with that double backflip, being the first one to put it down. And we've seen his career grow leaps and bounds over the last couple years.
Yeah, for more from Jake, definitely check out the Sweet Protection film mixtape for some of the amazing antics that Jake Hopfinger puts down on his skis. All right, Blaine Gallivan now. Another local athlete getting ready to drop in. Another veteran out here. Another guy that we love watching do his thing. Can't wait to see what he's got for us here on his second run.
Yeah, I met Blaine. I think I met Blaine when he was first maybe 4 or 5 years old. I used to work with his parents. Shout out to Robin and Chef Mike. Good people. Yeah, Blaine, one of our 3 born and bred competitors here today. Born and bred in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And just an absolute all-terrain warrior when it comes to skiing. Like, he rides everything with finesse and just technical difficulty. There's not much you can put in front of this kid that he won't attack and add his personal style to.
And Blaine just waiting for the good visibility here as we're getting some blowing snow down here at 10 Sleep Bowl and up in the couloir as well. And here he is.
Ooh, very unique entrance, lip sliding the ledge of Corbet's, airing off the nose and kind of cutting back. just under the west wall, and Blaine coming in super hot, holding on. Blaine Gallivan! Wow, that was insane. The amount of superhuman strength that he just had to summon to hold on and not go down as he transitioned out of the couloir and came into the crowd pleaser was incredible. And then one of the biggest errors we've seen all day off of the crowd pleaser, getting just a full embrace from his homies. Look at that kind of redirect, landing right at the base of the west wall. Flat spin, and a huge left 7. Blaine Gallivan representing.
Trying to relive some of the moments at the bowling alley last night with his entrance into the athlete zone now. The finish area here, taking out a couple of fellow competitors, but gosh, respect.
You could see how hard he wanted it. Like coming out of the couloir after he landed that flat spin, he had so much speed and the terrain was so rugged, and he held on because he knew he needed it for the final hit.
Well, Andrew, thoughts from the top on that one?
Absolutely psyched for Blaine, but makes sense to me. It was a couple years ago that we saw flat light, and he came in last run of the day and greased a 3 off the top that put him in 3rd on the podium. So everybody was stoked to see him put down this clean run up top. And when I asked him what he wanted to do for run 2, he said really just clean up that top entrance, put a little more snap on the tails as he rides around the lip here. And I think he put that all into effect. Now we see Parkin. He's still out of skis, but he's up top. And he's another guy with unfinished business, I think, today. An athlete, as you mentioned before, whose career has really been propelled by the stage that the contest provides. And now he's serious. He is full on into this game, and makes sense. In his family, his dad is a skier. He's got first ascents throughout Montana. He's a year-round athlete, so it makes sense that Parkin is following in those footsteps. But guys, what do you think Parkin can improve upon from run 1?
Well, yeah, let's take a look at run 1 here for Parkin Costain, your 2020 king of Corbets.
Going switch 1 into the couloir, and then this is where he was the first to link up those 2 cross-court hits, going back-to-back backies.
And that left 7, I mean, that's something that definitely, that's the only thing I could really say that he would need to clean up on that run is just landing cleanly on the crowd pleaser booter at the bottom. But again, the combo du jour, those 2 backflips that he linked up with the critical landing in between them. Very impressive athleticism by our 2020 king of Corbets.
Yeah, we've got some tough visibility right now. I know Parkin kind of waiting to see if he can get a little bit better visibility on the course. The sun is shining through the clouds. We can see it. It is shining down on us, but we have one of these unique mixes of some blowing snow, a little bit of cloud cover, some blue sky, some sun, kind of all at once here. You know, I think if Parkin's line choice, definitely solid. Like that, like as we spoke about earlier, the cross court, stacking up those 2 hits from indicator rock to that right side cheese wedge, definitely a great choice. It allows him to get more hits in his run. It also allows him to moderate his speed a little bit instead of just taking it all downhill, down the fall line. I do think that it would play to his advantage to mix up those 2 hits. The back-to-back backflips were cool, but I think if he were to keep one backflip and put in a spin. We know he's got bigger tricks than just backflips, and I think if he were to mix those two up, that would definitely play into his advantage, especially because this is, as we've talked about, it's a peer judged format, and I think his peers would see that he took a really solid first run and improved upon it for his second.
Well, time will tell. See what Parkin has for us here on his second of 2 runs. Definitely excited, anticipating this drop.
And this is all part of it. I mean, this is Corbet's couloir up here at the top of Rendezvous Mountain. There is, you know, the weather is crazy up here at sometimes. And, you know, it can be totally blue, sunny skies, and minutes later we can have snowstorm roll in. And to be honest, like, yeah, the snow isn't exactly what we wanted on game day, but I think in the greater scheme of things, everybody here is excited to see some snow blowing.
Absolutely, and it's elements that all these athletes are familiar dealing with when they're out there doing what they do out in the mountains and mountain environment out here.
Yeah, nobody here became a professional skier or snowboarder. Nobody here got the invite because they're fair weather skiers.
And it sounds like Parkin dropping in. Here we go, Parkin Costain, second run.
All right, switch one into the couloir, staying on his feet. Looks like similar line to his first run. There's that backflip, cross court. Oh, and looks like he
maybe
missed.
Got off his line a little bit, missed that second hit.
I bet he's
Still
got
on
something
his feet.
big. And a big left 7. Huge left 7 from Parkin Costain. The 7, he landed the 7. He didn't get as many features in as his first run, so we'll see which one of those 2 runs is the one that we go off of.
But a great approach, good creative approach. You know, we heard the athletes talking about it this year, not being as soft and deep in the couloir as it has been in years past. They were going to have to think outside the box and reimagine the way they were going to approach it. And I really do love what all these athletes are bringing to the table and how they're attacking this couloir. And there's looking at the replay, the first backflip, and yeah, just off his line a little bit, was not able to link that into that second hit. Would love to know what he had in mind for that second hit, but that 720 at the end was a thing of beauty. And Parkin Costain, hats off to you. We salute you. You're King of Corbets from 2020.
Yeah, and again, you know, just to bring it back and put this all in perspective, this is not what normally goes down here in Corbet's couloir. You know, like on any given day, if the conditions are good, you'll see a crowd of people all hunkered around the lip up there, like all peering in, kind of trying to psych themselves up. Like you don't normally have people starting from 50, 60 feet back, coming in, tricking into the couloir. Maybe people will jump off, but this is very unique, and this is why Kings and Queens of Corbet's, this competition, this event is so special, because it provides a platform, it provides this opportunity for all of these athletes to shine and show what they really can do on such an iconic ski run.
Well, just getting word that it is official. Parkin Costain was our final athlete to drop in, so much respect to all the athletes for throwing down out here this year, the 5th year, the 2022 edition of the King and Queens of Corbet's. And Jeff Moran, thoughts on the day, brother?
It was heavy. It was historic. You know, I think coming into it, variable conditions has been what everyone's been talking about all week. Not as much snow as we've had in past years, so the huckability factor was definitely a little bit down. We didn't know what we were going to see, and I am pleasantly surprised to see what people were willing to throw. I mean, like just starting off with Piper's backflip early on in the day, going huge off the bottom, and seeing things like Jake Hopfinger like being one of the few, if not the only person to actually send it straight off the nose. There were so many things that went down today that I am just wholly impressed with. And yeah, hats off to all of the riders and skiers here today.
Yeah, much respect. And Andrew Whiteford, thanks for holding it down at the top. And your thoughts on what you saw go down today?
Camera lens. It's been a cold day with a lot of hot action out here, and there's a lot to digest after watching all these athletes throw down. I'm just kind of basking in the endorphins that get shared amongst everybody up here, feeling good with a lot of dopamine and serotonin, a lot of excitement, but still some questions up in the air. I got to get home, find that QR code, and put in a little vote for my People's Choice Award. Jeff, who are you thinking? Do you want to share with your People's Choice with everybody?
Yeah, you know, it's a tough one. I'm gonna have to give you my top three. I'm gonna have to go home and think about it. But between Corey Jackson, Hans Mindnich, and Blake Wilson, like those three for sure were my standouts. And so yeah, I'll let you guys know tomorrow at the awards party.
Awesome.
What about you, DC? Who's your People's Choice?
Yeah, putting me on the spot. All right, I thought I was going to be able to dodge this bullet. But yeah, well, first off, Andrew, thank you so much for all your input and expertise and knowledge from the top, and for braving the cold and the elements up there. Appreciate you, and great job up there. But yeah, it's you know, I'm right there with you as far as my People's Choice Award. I mean, man, Hans Mindnich, every year after year, he's had such an impressive showing here. And this year he did not disappoint again. That was such a beautiful run, his first run, and that second run as well. So Hans Mindnich up in there. Corey Jackson definitely lived up to the hype. Again, Crazy Carl took me aside and was like, dude, you have to hype up Corey. He is the man, and he is going to throw down this year. I'm like, well, I will, and I'm excited to see what he has for us. And yeah, Corey Jackson did not disappoint at all either, and Blake too. So shouts to them. And for the women, I mean, Piper Kunst, holy smokes, 2 runs, not just one, but 2 amazing runs, top to bottom, and showing you that she definitely is worthy of being crowned the 2022 Queen of Corbets. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look back. We're going to be able to hear from you all. Definitely get involved and let your voices be heard. But let's take a look back on what we think are some of the top 10 moments out here. There's Mr. Hans Mindnich doing his thing. Corey Jackson looking to replay his first run.
I'm totally impressed with how creative people got off of the nose. You know, again, we knew coming into it this wasn't going to be a Huck Fest this year, and a lot of really cool creative riding went down to get into the couloir.
There's Ryan Wachendorfer, really hyped on both him and Chase Blackwell. A couple elite half-pipe athletes that just love snowboarding, love all the terrain, and brought that out here to the couloir today. And there's Parkin Costain as well, putting on display some of the skill sets that got him crowned back in 2020 as the King of Corbets.
Here we go. I think this is Blaine Gallivan. Yes, it is.
Yeah, Blaine as well. There are so many amazing moments. So hard to narrow it down to one. I mean, honestly, for my People's Choice, I'm just a fan of all these athletes because it does take a lot to throw down the way they did here in this couloir, and all these athletes are heroes to me. Yuki, yeah. How are we going to forget about Yuki?
How can you possibly pick? This is going to be tough. This is going to be really tough. But it will be interesting to see who the People's Choice Award is, who the people choose as their favorite, but also, man, the competitors have a really hard time. They're gonna have a really hard time picking. There's Crazy Carl going for that 12. Yeah, this is this is going to be tough, right? I mean, again, it's not a judges panel. They're not judging off of the traditional style of, you know, difficulty and variety and amplitude and all that stuff. I mean, all of that comes into play, but as we've talked about, this is a rider peer judged event, and this is not going to be easy. I don't know how you would possibly pick just, you know, your first, second, and third favorites, because there's like 5, 6, 7, 8 runs that are all right up there and podium worthy.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you to all the athletes. So much respect to you all. Of course, Cam Fitzpatrick, the first one to crack open the coulee this morning. But everyone, thank you so much, all the athletes, for doing what you do. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in from home. Don't forget to get involved and cast your vote for your people's choice, your people's favorite. But Jeff Moran, pleasure holding it down with you once again, my friend.
Been fun.
Always a good time with you. Thank you so much. So on behalf of Jeff and Andrew Whiteford at the top and our entire production staff, thank you all so much for tuning in and being a part here for the Kings and Queens of Corbet's 2022, the 5th year of this epic event. Thank you very much. Farewell, and we'll leave you with these amazing moments from the day.